Right, it is time for Street Talk. Very excited to talk about Corrie this week. It feels at last.
I can't remember what happened.
Lots happened.
Did anything
Many things
significant?
happened this week, yes. It feels at last that 2022 has started on Coronation Street, doesn't it? This week's given it the kickstart that it needed after 2 months of kind of, and I'm sorry if you've been a big fan of, Chesney and Gemma's antics or Tim needing a heart triple bypass thing, but it felt like with this week you kind of got the start of what could be a big story for the year, which is something that 2022 has been seriously lacking.
It's like the A story.
We have got an A story now, and the A stands for Abby, and also Alfie, yes, and awesome, and many things, and
arse.
It's also the B story because it's got Battersby and. Oh yeah, totally is. Oh, Imran, you get that smile's gonna be wiped off your face pretty soon. I tell you what. But yeah, it's so good. I love this week. Before we talk about the stories though, we got a new schedule this week, haven't we? We had our Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Corrie for the Future has been set at a new time slot. How did you find it?
More convenient for making dinner. Even though I was still late today.
We had.
I just point out that it shouldn't just be my job?
No, I know. I emptied the dishwasher. I helped out a little bit. No, it felt fine. I think I'm still going to always prefer the half an hours just for note taking convenience. But I have to say that with it being a great week this week, in my opinion. Having hour-long episodes without having that pesky half an hour to wait in between was quite good. I wasn't kept waiting thinking, what's going to happen? I mean, and then they still had the same old... I didn't notice anything different with cliffhangers or anything. I didn't expect to. And as far as I know, this week was still written as, normal 6 episodes. But I thought it was fine. And I think from the general feeling that I'm getting from online is that people have enjoyed this way of watching it. So... long may it continue. It seems to be doing okay in the ratings. I think I've only seen like Monday's overnight ratings where both Emmerdale and Corrie did relatively well, and it is like it's 4 point something million, which is still very very low compared to how it was not too many years ago. But EastEnders certainly seem to suffer in their new time slot. But then I've also heard good things about EastEnders with, Gray got arrested this week, Gemma, your favourite character. and the new set was revealed.
# free Gray.
And stuff happened with Mina in Emmerdale this week. So it was basically, this week was a good week to be a soap watcher in the UK, I guess. So, yay us. Shall I say what stories we're going to talk about this week? I've got a couple of storyline titles that are new, some that are old. We've now revived the Happy Babby Babies storyline. Because we have got a Habib, Abby, baby. He doesn't know it yet, but it is.
Alfie and Imran don't know. But Abby does.
Yes. It's all going to come out.
You said he, but you didn't refer to...
Oh, sorry. We've got Sick Neelan. We had Rick Neelan. Now we've got Sick Neelan because Laura is not doing so well. And it looks like the Rick recovery of body storyline is now finally, getting somewhere at last. Surely this isn't going to be another dead end that it leads to this time. The Thrill of the Chess is our storyline title for our Sam and Roy shenanigans that are going on in the cafe. Gemma,
Good
enjoying
one.
that? Love a bit of chess?
Bishop to King's Rook Pawn 3.
Exactly.
Is that a move?
Yes, and speaking of porn, we also have a sex worker return to the street this week. Nicky. Nicky back, which maybe sounds like something
Nickelback?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Also piggyback.
Or pickleback.
Yeah. We've got a story about Glory and Grace and the birthday party and everything. Storyline titled Bailey Remember Her.
I like that one.
Can you Bailey remember Grace? She's not been gone too long.
Grace?
Yeah.
Who is she?
Exactly. Scotch on the Rocks we had a little bit of on Sunday.
Scott.
And the same with the Drop Dead Ted story, which we'll squeeze in at the end. And I asked Gemma before we started recording today whether she wanted to do the Happy Babby Baby storyline or whether it was me. You volunteered. So I'm going to pass to you, Gemma.
To the story.
To the story.
Thank you.
Yeah, please remind us what has happened.
On Sunday, because that's right. This week began on Sunday.
Yes, well, we were at the cinema. We went to see the Batman, didn't we?
Yeah.
And,
Americans think the week begins on a Sunday.
Yes.
Isn't there a controversy?
I don't know.
Some people think the week begins on a Sunday.
Well, this was last Friday's
And
episode for sure
because it starts on a Monday.
I know. They referred to it being Friday, but let's for
Sunday.
Yes.
Abby wakes up in a drunken stupor, which is normal on a Sunday.
Not for the last time.
Or the first. An alarm on her phone tells her it's Seb's birthday.
Yeah, it's a good day for Abby giving birth, isn't it?
Is this all the same day?
Yeah, this was the same day. Baby was born on Seb's birthday.
That's going to suck, though.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of guilt tripping going on.
Well, I mean, this is all presuming that Abby actually gets to keep this baby,
or Alfie
which is yes,
not to
exactly.
put too fine a point on it.
Yeah.
Right, so
she's not going to lose another kid.
Don't be so sure.
She's
this is
not.
a soap opera. Abby starts tidying up, and there's a knock at the door, and it's Eileen with a bunch of flowers. She remembers it's Seb's birthday because she was his landlady.
Mm-hmm.
And Abby's crying. She's touched that anybody remembered.
Yes, very nice
really
and rare
sweet.
Eileen appearance. That was lovely. Just a nice, nice little character moment.
I just want to say also that if you know somebody who's lost somebody, it can feel right to not talk about that person. But actually, you might find that the person who is left behind would rather talk to you about their memories of the person that they've lost, rather than pretending it never happened.
Together. And we also get an Anna mention in this scene, didn't we? Because Anna Windass got a post-a-day card through.
That bitch. Right, Abby's hobbling around and she puts it down to sleeping funny. She and Eileen reminisce, and Abby talks about what she had planned for his 21st birthday. Eileen asks about Kevin, but there's still no news. Then she has to go to work. Abby is rubbing her stomach and she's looking a bit pained. And she decides it's time for more drugs.
More gear, but a nice bit of sniff from Dean. Yeah, throughout Sunday's episode, she was just wincing a lot, wasn't she? And it wasn't obvious what it was. At one point she says to Dean later, "Oh, I need to go to Kazi," and I'm like, she's having a miscarriage. I went into this week completely in the dark about what was going to happen, and it was a secret reveal. It wasn't leaked to the it was I assume the press knew and everything, but it wasn't leaked to viewers that Abby was going to be giving birth on Sunday night's episode. But yeah, I was going, it's a miscarriage, Gemma. It's a miscarriage, didn't I?
Yeah, you
did. But then
did.
at the very end of the episode, it's not.
Spoiler. So,
I mean, we didn't even know she was pregnant. We'd all theorised that she was pregnant, but obviously sorry, I interrupted. Continue.
Dean turns up with drugs, and Abby stops him from putting a line on a photo of the family, and gives him a placemat or something. I don't know. Outside, Kevin shows up. Unfortunately,
back from his holes.
Then we have a break, and Abby's zonked out on the sofa, and Dean's blowing bubbles, and she's like dancing like some kind of dozy kitten. And then he starts trying to kiss her, but she pulls away, saying, "I don't want that." And then they sit back down, and he wants more drugs and wants to know about what's going on with the garage over the road, because there's a fancy car on the street, and I think he sees that mug, doesn't he? The Webster's garage mug, and he realises there's some kind of link between Abby and this garage, and he knows that he might be able to score some cars. Kevin is in the bistro with Debbie, and she is desperate to know what Abby has done to deserve this terrible treatment, but he won't tell her, and he says that he needs to check to see if she's okay because it says birthday and everything. And Debbie thinks he's scared to go over there because he knows that nothing good is going to come of it, and how right they are. Abby is Abby's like, "Oh, my back hurts." So Dean tries to give her a massage, and this is when they're both going, "Oh yeah, go on, rub it harder. Oh, do you like that? Yeah. Oh, get right in there."
It's okay because they were the only two people in the house. Oh no, of course,
Kevin's
Kevin walks
there.
in.
Here's this.
What
walks
the bleeding
in.
hell's going
What's
on
happening?
Here? Abby.
Abby,
I've got a whole black bin bag of pants here for you to wash. I've been away for 2 weeks.
Kevin orders Dean out. Abby's upset. He has a go at Abby. She's trying to tidy up, and then he sees all the drugs on the photos and can't believe it. And Abby says, "Once a junkie, always a junkie. You knew what you were getting into." And she swears she still loves him and Jack, and she'll clean up, but he's not very impressed, as you might imagine.
I mean, what did you think about Kevin? Because he knew all of this. He knew what she was like before he married her. And now it almost feels like, the first sign of any trouble. And I know it's kind of quite a lot of trouble, but he's like saying, "Well, I'm not having anything to do with you."
Well, she promised that she would you know.
I know, but
I can't really get mad at anybody in this story. It's just
they just don't
tragedy.
seem to have been married for very long, and already he's given up on it. He's not
but
really
you
fighting
could,
for her.
okay,
here.
right. I'm an Abby fan, but you can also say they've not been married very long, and she's already on the drugs. So,
well, she was partly on the drugs because
ipso
of his
facto
reaction to the
uno
one night stand
reverso.
that she had before they got married. After which point he said, "The past in the past." So
I don't know. Kevin goes, Dean comes back, he starts clearing up, Abby says the party isn't over, she's just getting in her stride, so they play on the Xbox, and Abby's like, oh, I'm in pain, I guess she's losing.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I
don't know why she's in so much pain, because it's not like they're playing Mario Kart. Most painful game there is, apart from Smash Brothers. She rushes off saying she needs to go to the loo, like you alluded to earlier. He takes this opportunity to take the garage keys and sneak off. When she comes downstairs, she hears a horn, rushes outside and panics because she sees Dean stealing a car, and so she gets in to try to stop him, but he drives off with her in the car.
I don't really get why he was there honking the horn. Is that the best way to steal a car?
Right.
Hey, everybody, just stealing this car. Look at me in the car. Boop, boop, boop.
See who can get a good e-fit of me.
Yeah.
He zooms off. He takes us out into the countryside.
Yeah, I think it was up to the moors. It felt like it was a similar sort of area to where the paper mill was, where Phelan had all his bodies buried. It felt like it was kind of over that way, but I don't know.
I'm not gonna
There's probably plenty of
probably
outside country areas around Manchester, but
she's like, oh, ow, oh, ow, oh, I've got a stomach ache, or I need to poo, or I'm having a baby.
Something's coming out of me.
All three.
Something's coming out one of my holes, and I can't tell what.
Oh, it's the purge. So,
he's like, I think he starts worrying, doesn't he? He thinks that he might have given her dodgy gear or something.
Well,
he's like, I don't want to get caught up in this.
He thinks she's ODing, so they stop over at the side of the road, and Abby's trying to tell him that what she thinks is wrong. He panics. He thinks she's dying and drives off, leaving her on the side of the road with her phone. She calls 999. The battery's dying. So is she. She manages to connect to somebody and tells them she's having a baby, and then she gets cut off, stuck in the middle of nowhere. This is an absolute nightmare.
What a cliffhanger that was. I did not see this coming.
I cannot imagine what you would feel like knowing that you're possibly going to die, because this is...
At least it was picturesque surroundings.
Everybody treats pregnancy and childbirth like it's no big deal, but it's not a walk in the park. It's a ride in the country, and it's a bumpy road.
How much did you know of this story before going into this week? Had you seen any pictures or anything?
No.
Because there had obviously been a big trailer for this week, which I'd been able to avoid. I'd seen a screenshot. Of Abby in the country, looking a bit worse for wear, but I didn't know why. And I also saw a picture from Wednesday's episode of Dean kind of grabbing hold of her outside of his secret car lockup place. That was literally the only spoilers I had for this week. And so it's basically, I know that Abby's going to be getting up to some dodgy business on today's episode. So, when this all came out, it's like, oh.
On Monday, she's trying to flag down cars, but people are driving past her. And then we get a load of crotch shots.
There are so many gratuitous crotch shots.
I don't know that they're gratuitous, but I do think, unfortunately, that the women's bodies are sexualised, and so the innocent process of childbirth in all its beauty and glory with bloody weird soaking parts has a different effect on viewers, depending perhaps on their history with these situations.
There was like 2 or 3 times this week we were treated to a soggy crotch, weren't we?
Yeah.
So, tell you what, with this 8 o'clock start, you can show anything on Corrie.
Do what you like, can't you? So she's trying. She her waters have broken.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Kevin is telling Debbie about how Abby is a horrible drug addict and cheating, and Dean, etc. She's incensed. She knew that she was a wrong-un, and so he says, please look after Jack. I'm going away for a bit in the camper van. So what I assume now that Jack is ensconced in the Chariot Square Hotel, dodging prostitutes and
Yeah, probably.
drug deals and Weatherfield
Oysters
County
for dinner every
meetings, because we do get a few references to Jack. So I assume this is Coronation Street's explanation for why he is still in school and it's fine. I guess.
I mean, he went away from school for 2 or 3 weeks, didn't he? But I think with everything else that's going on in the story this week, I don't need Jack or Kevin to be in it, you know?
They're
very, very important. No, well, they're a very, very important part to the story.
Yeah, but superfluous at the moment.
It's an extra wrinkle that the story does not need. Although, I mean, I wonder whether this week might have been better if it had been just focused on this story, because as we saw earlier in the table of contents, we've got plenty of other stories this week. Could we have dumped the Bailey stuff or dumped the Nicky stuff
Corrie's
in favour
birthday
of
party, Michael?
I know that waits for no man, but maybe this week would have worked better if it was only this story, a bit like they did for the Nina. I know some people would have hated this stuff, because lots of people I've seen online saying, "Oh, this story's load of rubbish. It's miserable. I hate Abby," and so on,
etc. Right. Abby manages to stop a car, tells the driver she's in labour. He's disgusted. He can smell the alcohol on her breath. He doesn't really fully believe her, but he takes her to the hospital and kind of gets to the door and makes an announcement like, man. I completely denounce this strumpet and drunkard, and it's nothing to do with me. Good day. And leaves. At the bistro, Imran is telling Leanne about Elsie and how he can't imagine not being a father. Oh, juxtaposition. How exciting, because little does he know, or, are we barking up the wrong tree here, that he is actually about to become a daddy.
I don't think we're barking up any wrong tree. I mean, it's not obviously 100% confirmed that it's Imran, and that would be maybe a twist. Maybe a twist too far if it wasn't him.
Right, anyway. A nurse deals with Abby and she's trying to ask her questions. Have you been drinking? Have you been taking drugs? I need to know. It's going to affect the birth. And Abby says, yeah, all right. I did some sniff, done some booze. Didn't know I was pregnant. Last time I had sex was 6 months ago. And by the way, I know you keep asking me, my name is Jenny S. Jennifer Smith.
Yeah, so, I mean,
And it's obvious, the nurse knows she's lying.
I feel she's bad for Kevin.
My name's Jennifer Smith.
I feel bad for Kevin. I mean, when he married Abby, this hot young thing, I think he was thinking that he would, be wall-to-wall rumpy-pumpy. But it's just, she's literally just there to wash his pants and cook his dinner, isn't she?
Abby is having... Yes. A very intense pushing session. And the nurse is saying, we need you to take off your necklace. And she refuses to because it's from Seb. And she's like, the nurse says, Seb, should we call him? But obviously you cannot. Then the baby's head is popping out, but the heart rate is dropping. Abby's pushing, the baby comes out. It's not crying.
Oh, that scene.
Really sad. What is going on?
It was a little bit like it's a bit like when Eva had her baby in the bathroom, wasn't it?
We need Toyah to give it a slap.
Well, Toyah just breathed life into baby. What was Eva's baby called?
Crumpet.
Oh, what was it called?
Beautiful baby Crumpet.
That is a name that I didn't know how to spell. I can't remember.
Siobhan.
No, I can spell that.
So,
my head.
Right, listen. There's a nurse. There's a male nurse there, and I'm differentiating from the female nurse.
Yes.
And he's standing there like a ghost the whole time, but it turns out he is actually really
He's terrifying, that guy.
And he grabs the baby and he takes it over to some kind of baby machine and attaches it.
Baby machine.
And it starts to cry, and we're all relieved because the baby is alive.
Oh, did you wonder at all whether the baby was going to be dying there?
It was sad because it's like, it could just die, couldn't it?
With no spoilers about this story leaking in advance, literally, this could have gone anywhere. And I was thinking,
this is horrible.
And in some way I was thinking, but yeah, at least maybe that, because the whole what's going to happen with the baby, is Abby going to get it, is Imran going to get it, they're going to have it together, and Imran and Toyah are going to split up and everything.
They need to do that thing where Abby and Imran
it'd be better if the baby
are opposite sides of the room and they go, come to the one you love.
Yeah. But if the baby had died there, maybe that would have been better for Imran and Toyah.
It's horrible.
No, I was relieved when there was a
and she finds out it's a boy, doesn't she?
Yes.
And she kind of Imran
Jr.
Tyrone bursts into the pub because he is missing a grey Nissan sports car from the garage. And he wants to know if anyone's seen it. The baby gets taken to ICU because he's very premature. No, poo Sherlock. And he has breathing issues. And the nurse is going to come back with the doctor later to talk about all the drugs and booze. There's also a bit where Abby's like, if I tell you if I was on something, you're going to tell the police. And the nurse is like, let's not worry about that right now. I don't think it's the nurse's job, is it? But I guess it's because there's a baby involved.
Yeah, but the police don't need to know. Or does it count? It doesn't count as neglect, does it? If the baby's in your tum-tum? I don't know. I don't know, but I don't think it's a good idea to go down that road because then we're going to start arresting women at sushi bars. So, the doctor and nurse come back, but guess what? What?
Abby's gone.
What?
She's run off. She gets back to the house. She curls up on the sofa.
That was the scene. Somebody was talking over it, weren't they? Who was it? There was the scene where the nurse and the doctor or whoever come into the room, and one of the other characters from another story is saying something harrowing. Do you remember? Don't shake your head.
I don't remember.
I'll remember who it is when I get to the other story.
The next day, Debbie finds Abby on the sofa and she starts having to go at her.
Oh yeah, it's because this was Sunday's episode. It was split over 2 days, wasn't it? Very
Abby
rarely
doesn't
done.
care. Debbie's shouting at her, get out of the house, but she doesn't listen. Then we have Aggie, who is a nurse extraordinaire. She floats all around the place, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Every single specialist nursing thing, she knows all of it. She knows oncology. She knows babyness, whatever that is. She can probably do
Pediatrics.
Yeah, pediatrics. She can probably do.
She can definitely do Tim's heart, and she can do cardiology.
Cardiology.
She's an all round, generally excellent nurse. Whatever medical issue you got, Aggie's got a plaster for it.
And then she keeps saying all right. So Aggie is there, and they're talking. She's talking to a colleague about the baby, and they know this baby's been abandoned, and they don't know who the mother is. So one thing that they can do is do a DNA test to find out if they've got the mum on record. And I thought this was really quite sinister. Why have they got records of people's DNA? Where did they get them from?
I don't know.
I'm really confused. I don't know that this is...
I guess if they just take blood samples for whatever. I don't know what they do with it.
I don't remember ever giving my permission for them to take my DNA and check it up against a load of dodgy lost babies. Like, I think that was weird. I don't get that.
Maybe it's like the donor card and you've got to opt in or opt out for it now. No, what is it? Yeah, that's right. Opt out of it.
I don't understand this. I need to look into this further because I think that's a bit strange.
You're planning on committing some crimes in the near future and you really don't want the hospitals to be able to ship you to the cops.
No, but I don't think it's very good for... I don't know if this is true, but if it isn't true, is it going to put people off of, like, allowing DNA tests to happen on the NHS?
Yeah, maybe.
There's lots of things about keeping your information private, and it's, do you remember all that stuff about uploading your DNA to like family ancestry websites and stuff, and then it turns out your uncle's a paedophile serial killer. Anyway, they don't know who the mum is. She might not be on the system, but they do have CCTV footage of it that they're going to give to the press, and the main clue is red hoodie.
Red hoodie, yeah. That's the thing at the very end of the episode, isn't it?
Right, listen. Tyrone sees Abby in the street and chases after her about this missing car. And she says, I ain't got time for this. I don't know who it was. It wasn't me. And Tyrone basically accuses her and says, if we find out it was you, then Kevin is finished because nobody's going to trust us because we're, people want to leave their car with this garage. And then it turns out that one of the people involved in it's like stealing the cars. He gets quite hysterical about this, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Aggie's nursemaid is showing...
He's probably a bit annoyed that he's running the garage single-handedly and Kevin's just bogged off for, who knows how long. And then he came back for a bit and now he's disappeared off again. I wonder if he's stressed out.
Aggie's nursemaid is showing her this CCTV photo and it's the red hoodie picture. And
it's Rana.
It's a woman in her late 30s, and then we cut to Abby like sitting on the sofa, and then it pans to the red hoodie like we'd forgotten that she gave birth to a baby earlier in the episode. It was really
that is how
stupid.
it looked, wasn't it? It was like, yeah, guess what?
And all along,
the final twist of the episode.
It was Abby. Oh my god! On Wednesday, Abby tells. No, Aggie tells Ed that Abby's not looking herself recently. This is like a very short Aggie the detective episode where she quickly works out that Abby's the baby. She thinks that Abby's on drugs. Imran and Toyah in the shop talking about this poor abandoned baby. And this is interesting because I was like, did they actually report this to the press? Yes, they did. Which is a bit of a Pandora's box, isn't it? But I guess they're not going to address this. That they've gone to the papers and said, we're looking for this woman. And then the same day she's like, oh, it is me. And then what are they going to do then? Go, no more questions. We found the woman. I'm sure nobody's interested in hearing more about this story.
Yeah.
You know, surely there's going to be reporters sniffing around going, we want to know who the baby belongs to. What's going on with this baby? Everyone's really invested in this and wants to know good things. How are they going to hide?
Well, hopefully for them there'll just be some new news on the bypass over the red wreck or something that will distract them from all the baby drama. Maybe
Maria's going to find out that plugging in your hair straighteners causes pollution. So, they're talking about how tragic this abandoned baby is. Imran is there, Abby's in there listening, and she's quickly secreting sanitary towels up her jumper.
For other secretions.
Well, Aggie goes round to check on Abby, and she sees the hoodie, she sees the pads, and she realises that Abby is the baby birther.
Tell you what, Craig Tinker would have never got that, would he?
No. He'd have gone, you know what? It's really funny that you've got a red hoodie. Where did you buy it from? I'm going to go and investigate the shop and see if they've got any receipts.
In the precinct.
Abby denies it. Aggie knows she's lying, and she says, look, you have to go. You have to go to the hospital. And Abby says, no, I don't want to keep it. It's not I don't want this baby. Aggie says, talk to Kevin. He would love this baby if he was given a chance. It's his son. Abby's like, funny you should say that. It's not his baby. Aggie says, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. You need to come to the hospital and see your son, and abandoning him is a safeguarding issue. I cannot stand by and not say anything. And you're in pain. You need to go to the hospital. And Abby says, bugger off.
I want to know, because we haven't seen very many proper close-ups of this baby yet, and I don't want to sound like insensitive or anything, but can they tell by the baby's skin tone the the mixed racedness of this baby? How pink is it? Can they tell that, could Aggie have told that it wasn't Kevin's?
I don't know, and I don't want to talk about and speculate because I think I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, it's
a fair point to raise, and I don't think that either of us are qualified to discuss any of the ramifications of this, and we just watch what happens. Is all we can do.
Although I know, did it come out wearing a grey checkered jacket, or was it wearing a purple bomber jacket? That's how you can tell.
Did it come out going, pants, wash my pants?
Did it have a face full of stubble, or did it have a
full,
neatly shaven beard? Yes.
We don't know. We haven't seen it closely.
It's just a pink blob in an incubator.
It's
really
like
sad. Something out of Existence. And Abby's like prod.
No, it's sad. It's a little poor baby.
It was very when the guy takes it. The package size, is that what you call it?
Package size.
The baby package. The wrap swaddling.
It was so tiny.
Thing. It was miniature, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's really really tiny. I thought we were going to be having another Rory situation. Honestly, I did.
Isn't it horrible?
Yeah.
Because imagine if it had been the wrong, this is what the whole story about Rory was, just a few days out of them saying, we're going to help you, versus, I'm sorry that we're not going to.
Yeah.
Horrible and tragic and horrific, actually.
And also, with us knowing what Abby's been putting herself through, putting her body through in terms of drugs and alcohol and everything over the past few months, there was, quite a high chance that this baby was going to be very messed up. It was. Oh, anyway.
Aggie goes home and phones work and says, "I know who the mother of this poor baby is." Tyrone goes round to number 13, demanding to know more about his car. Abby continues to say she doesn't know, and he's mad at her. She phones Dean when he leaves and says she wants more drugs, and she offers him a BMW in return because she sees a BMW being driven up to the garage. So she meets up with Dean in this dodgy garage, and she calls the police. She tricks him, doesn't she?
I loved all this stuff.
So Dean has got this BMW that he's nicked, that she tipped him off on. They both end up in his dodgy garage in the middle of nowhere. She calls the police to double cross him, to report him, but he overhears her because she kind of does it pretty obviously.
Well, yeah, he just kind of nips inside the garage, doesn't she? And straight away she's like, phone out, police, there's a car here, a stolen car, come and arrest her. Oh, you overheard me, Dean. Who'd have thought?
So they have a tiny tussle and then she just falls over like a fainting goat on the floor. When she comes to, she's been locked in and she's bleeding, so you get another nice crotch shot. She goes over to the car and she feels around to see if he's hidden the key anywhere. You think this was stupid.
I didn't understand that. How did she find this key?
I don't think it's that weird. I think this is what people do. I don't think it's uncommon to hide the keys on the wheel arch. If you're like, yes, I think that's not that weird. She opens the car.
I'll have to make sure that I never put my key there then, because people just be coming and stealing my car left, right and centre.
They might do, yes, and I don't think you get
Everybody
it back.
wants a scratched up 10-year-old black Vauxhall Corsa with a dodgy tyre light.
And a dodgy gear stick.
And a dodgy gear stick, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that car. So she gets into the car, revs up the engine, and she heroically bursts through the garage door straight into a skip.
That was like one of my favourite moments of the week. I had many favourite moments this week, but when she was there ready to burst through, I was like, oh yeah, brilliant, Abby's going to burst out to freedom and smash into the skip.
It was immediate.
It was
comically fast.
And there was no, I mean, I guess they must have shown the skip earlier that episode when she was sneaking around, but I didn't think at all.
No, I didn't.
I thought she was just going to burst for freedom, but there had been a trailer that had been put out that showed her crashed into the skip, so I'm really glad I didn't see that, because that came out of nowhere. It was bad. That got the biggest laugh of the night for me. I don't think that's what they were going for necessarily, but
you got to take your last weekend in this story.
Great stuff.
Toyah and Imran hear Debbie and Tyrone talking about Abby, I suppose, and Toyah's concerned and wants to talk to her, tries phoning her, and then a policeman answers the phone, and Toyah's like, hello, who is this? And he's like, who are you? And she says, Abby's friend. And he says, well, last time you saw Abby, did she have a car on her forehead? Because I think I know where she is.
And Toyah's like, I think I found a story, everybody. I'm going to be in a story.
Oh my God, I'm going to the hospital to be in a story. Toyah, the last time you were in a hospital story, it wasn't yours, was it? You were just being sad.
Yeah.
She doesn't learn, does she? She's going to be sad in this story, I think.
Yeah.
Toyah turns up the hospital and she tells the nurse, I'm Abby's friend. And the nurse says, or the receptionist, whoever this man is,
I'm going to tell you everything.
The nurse says, oh, Abby, the pregnant drug addict in room 5.
No longer pregnant. He's like, don't worry, the baby's fine. But it's starting to get septicemia.
She's got some placenta coming out of her vag. So we're just having a hooking that out. And she'll be out in a minute. And Toyah's like, whoa, what? And Aggie's walking past going, hope she doesn't ask me any questions. Doesn't get away. Toyah says, excuse me, Aggie, what the flipping heck is going on? And she gets informed. She goes into Abby's room and they all know everything apart from who's the daddy and does he even know. And Abby says, no, it wasn't. I don't know who it was. It was a one-night stand. Actually, it was Tez. Actually, is in prison, so it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, I forgot that Tez was in prison because he's in there after the whole gun deal, isn't he? Because I was thinking a few weeks ago, is Kevin going to go and find Tez and say, hey, did you knock my wife up before you went inside?
Well, we can still have a nice prison visit, can't we?
Yeah, maybe potentially.
She sends Toyah off with a flea in her ear, but then Toyah comes back with baby booties. Because what else does a baby need?
Got to have a warm
shoes. Foot. She says, let's go see the baby. And Abby says, I don't want to see the baby. I don't want this baby. I didn't even know I was having a baby. And Toyah and Abby have these really great scenes together where Abby's just completely aghast and emotionally drained, and she's at her lowest point and can't see the point of anything and thinks that she's a terrible person and the baby would be better off without her. And Toyah is convincing her that she is the most important. She's the most important person. The baby needs her, and she would be a good mum. She's a great mum to Jack. She was a good mum to Seb. They adored her. And there's a little boy who's in an incubator who just needs his mum. And she's the mum. And she pep talks Abby around, doesn't she?
Yeah, it didn't last too long because then we get the social worker.
Abby agrees. Finally, she makes this emotional decision that she's going to see her son. And she's rejecting to see this child because she knows that she's going to be hurt again, doesn't she? Because she knows that he's in a bad way and she's trying to protect herself. But now Toyah's broken down all of her defences and made her have hope for a future where she could be a mum that this kid needs. Hope that she could redo being a mum and get it right for the first time. And because Toyah is so earnest and convincing, she actually manages to make Abby at least agree to see the baby. Unfortunately, this was the wrong thing to do because it gives her hope when there is none. So Toyah leaves her. Abby's about to get out of bed to waddle off down to the neonatal unit. But then a social worker turns up to put a spanner in the works. Toyah gets home late. She is telling Imran that there's an old client that needs her help. And this is her line all the way through. And by the end of the week, Imran still is none the wiser that Abby has had a baby, because if he knew, he would probably have a fit.
Yeah, how's this no more secrets going, Toyah? That
well, she doesn't realise.
Said at the beginning of this relationship.
She is protecting her client, isn't she? She's not keeping a secret. She's being professional. She doesn't.
Who is Toyah?
Yes, she doesn't tell him all of the information about her private counselling clients. Even though Abby isn't one, she's treating her like she is a client.
I guess
I'm completely on Toyah's side here. I think that she is just being a professional person, and the same way that Imran wouldn't come home, and Toyah certainly wouldn't go, I can't believe you didn't tell me about the boundary dispute. I said no more secrets. Do you know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
Both of these people have confidentiality written into their job description. Anyway,
it's not Toyah's job anymore, is it? She can go flapping her gums about whatever she wants.
Oh God, shut up. Social worker makes it clear that this is not going to be an easy ride. Toyah's painted a very rosy picture of Abby and baby's future. And then the social worker comes in and says, actually, no. Just so you know, you've already given up 2 kids. You're a drug addict. You
abandoned baby.
You abandoned a baby. We're a bit worried that you might not take this one very seriously. And Abby's aghast. She can't believe it. She wants to know what she has to do to make it right. And Abby says, look, we need to protect the baby first. You need to enroll in rehab. You need to... And she's like, yeah, I'll do that. And then the social worker says, you need to involve the father. And then Abby says, nope, not doing that. And Chloe says... that would go down well with the judge, and this is going to end up in court, by the way. And Abby's like, well, in that case, I'm not interested. I don't want to do it. Stick that in your stupid report. Again, Abby is shutting down emotionally to protect herself.
Yeah, Abby just gives up, doesn't she?
Yeah.
This is very much in character.
Yeah.
And she's got no fight left in her, has she? To be honest, but she thinks that the world is against her, so she's like, oh, I'll give up then.
Abby wakes up on Friday. She's back home again. She's on the sofa, and then the police come round. Debbie's seen that they've been there, but Abby says that she was giving them a witness statement about the car, and she slams the door in Debbie's face. and Debbie's shouting through the letterbox as Toyah walks past and is surprised to see that Abby is home when she should be at the hospital. Inside the house, Abby is phoning her dealer. Toyah tries to leave a message on Abby's answer phone, and then we've got this I don't really understand what's going on here, but there's some kind of thing with Elsie. Basically, the whole thing is that Toyah's needed for Elsie and Imran to do something at school, and she can't make it because she's too involved in what's going on with...
Is it like they're looking for a school for Elsie?
I don't bloody know. It doesn't matter. The whole point is conflict has arisen because Toyah's prioritising Abby over Toyah and Elsie.
Imran and
Elsie, without knowing the full circumstances of who this baby even is. And it's ironic and tragic. That's the whole point of this. So, Abby's getting into drugs.
She meets up with a dealer. She's got a new one.
She gets some drugs. Toyah goes round the back of number 13. No. First of all, she goes around the front of number 13, and the social worker's there going, knock, 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 knock. I've got an hour slot, so I'm going to stay here for an hour knocking on the door.
Yeah, did they say how she absolutely knew that Abby was definitely in there? Because she didn't give up, did she?
No. So Toyah goes around the back and finds Abby about to take drugs, and...
This back entrance that the social worker couldn't locate for herself.
Toyah, Abby explains to her what's happened. Toyah sees she's going to take drugs, confiscates them, and goes and lets the social worker in. And social worker's like, oh no, you've got an open bottle of vodka. But really, she should have been worried about the drugs. And she says, I've been trying to contact you. You're needed at the hospital because there's been a complication with the baby's health. So they go round to the hospital. Toyah comes for emotional support. They get told this baby has developed a bowel condition, which they say somebody else had, and I've forgotten who it was, but another baby had the same thing.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Did they say Ollie?
And he was fine. No, it wasn't Ollie. They may need to operate. So Abby's looking terrified, and she is in tears, and she's saying to Toyah, was this my fault? Did I do this? And Toyah says, no, it wasn't your fault. Do you want to go and see him? So Abby nods. And she gets taken in to this incubator with this tiny baby. And she at one point, she has this smile on her face, like the most beatific, motherly kind of smile, you know?
Yeah,
like this kind of
lovely,
completely besotted, nothing else in the world matters right now apart from this baby.
That's that parental bond for you.
And the nurse says, touch his head and his bum.
Yeah. I like with the bit where Abby meets the baby as well. I like that she just says, "I'm your mummy. It's really, really nice to meet you."
I know, and she calls him Kiddo as well.
Oh yeah, hello Kiddo. I'm your mummy.
So the nurse reassures her, and she says, "You know, this will really help him if you have skin contact with him. I guess babies are like cats, and they can smell you." I think that's it.
Definitely. Sorry, excuse me, I'm just having a bit of a yawn here.
Yeah, normally you can't shut up, can you? Right. Meanwhile, Imran is calling Toyah, and he needs to get in touch with her, but he can't.
Well, she says at this time, I'll be there in 20 minutes, but then she just spends the rest of the episode putting him off and not answering his phone calls and not replying to his texts.
So Abby meets Toyah in the waiting room, and she's crying again because they asked her to feed the baby, but she feels like it's going to do enough damage because the milk's contaminated. And so Toyah says, look, and then she gives her a right talking to, doesn't she? Yeah. She loses her rag a bit, but in a nice Toyah way.
She gets her nag on.
She goes, you need to bloody well step up and do what you need to do because you're the baby's mum and you're the only one that can do this. So you need to go and sort it out and decide if you once and for all if you're going to be a mum or not. So this pep talk seems to work because Abby, I think by the end of this episode, is fully on board Team Baby, isn't she?
Yes.
So Toyah goes to check to see if she can give milk, even though she was on drugs, and she's ignoring Imran's phone calls. And then she comes back and she says, "Milk's fine. Babies don't mind a bit of drugs."
Probably depends what drug it was. I mean, if it might be like, oh yeah, that's probably quite good for it. That'll give it a bit of zing.
Yeah. You know what? They used to give babies cocaine. It's true though. They used to give babies all kinds of stuff.
I had to dip in the dummy.
Mind you, I don't think it was good for them though, was it? I'm not sure. Anyway, she basically just don't do any more drugs is the message. which I think is fair enough. Toyah gets home. Imran's not impressed, but they don't argue because they're so wonderful and mature. And Imran says, we had to go for a meeting, but you didn't make it, so I've rebooked it for next week. And she says, I've got my client, but I think it's okay, blah, blah, whatever.
She goes off and plays tea parties with Elsie, doesn't she? And Imran's left on the sofa giving a satisfied smile. Little does he know what's going to happen to him. Probably very, very soon when it all comes out.
Do little girls still play pretend tea parties, or are they like doing TikTok dances?
Elsie's too innocent for all that. She's just a perfect
Playing
child,
Peppa
isn't
Pig.
she is very, very cute. She's still not had any lines, but she's just so giggly, isn't she, that little girl? They cast just right when they wanted like the cutest little button of a
flower
kid.
child.
Yeah.
I want a happy-go-lucky, pretty little dancey lady girl, please.
And Imran was cute with her as well, wasn't
I
he?
was
Chasing her around
trying.
the kitchen earlier in the episode.
Sickening. Abby's back in the unit, telling Aggie that she's decided she's found a name for the baby.
Yes.
And she tells a little history about how she came up with Seb's name, and then she tells Aggie that she's decided to call this baby Alfie, which was something to do with wise counsel or something like that. But then she also says that it means ready for battle, and the baby needs to be ready to fight for his life, but Abby is going to be right there beside him all the way.
Yes. What could possibly go wrong?
No more secrets. Wait, I want to tell you, before you tell me, let me tell you.
Yes. That's it. So I've been gushing about what I thought, Gemma. I haven't really asked you. How much did you enjoy this? Equally to me? More? Less?
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I love Abby Carmen. I think
Sally Carmen.
Sorry. I think that she did a fantastic job. She broke my heart again. You can sympathise with somebody without condoning their behaviour, and I think that it is very easy if you don't like somebody, because I hate him and he can't sneeze right, as far as I'm concerned. But the complete opposite for me with Abby. She just broke my heart when she was looking at him and she was disarmed, and it's like she suddenly thought maybe it could be okay, and then you just know that there are so many hard things ahead for her, and this poor little tiny baby, even though all you can see of him is like a square of peach skin inside this big tank. It's just absolutely tragic, and there are loads of babies who have hard starts like this, and it's just tragic.
Yeah, it is. It's tragic, but also brilliantly dramatic for Coronation Street. Like there's just so many great twists in this. Even like Abby disappearing from the hospital bed this week, I didn't see coming. No, there's so much that I said before.
I don't like affair storylines, but if you're going to do one, this is probably one of the best conceived ones. No pun intended. Because of how precarious a situation this all is, and there have been some great storylines before, and even thinking about Ollie and how Steve confessed it was his child, and you got Michelle there having just lost Rory, and then that was super tragic, and it was plotted well in advance.
Yeah,
drama.
Everything has been set up quite well here, hasn't it?
Because I'm more invested in these characters, I am far more invested in this story, but it's kind of making me appreciate other affair storylines a bit more than I might have done before, which is interesting. I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Everything with still loving Abby, but absolutely not condoning anything that she's done, like all of the drugs and the booze and the abandoning the baby and. But
I just want to say something about like a woman's body, and I understand that people are mad at her about taking drugs and alcohol and stuff, but she did not know she was pregnant, and it's really unfair that women's bodies, like, are we ever allowed to own our own goddamn body, or does it always just belong to somebody else just in case?
What was it that they said as the reason why Abby didn't know she was pregnant? Did she still say that she was still bleeding or something? I seem to remember
they just said that sometimes you can still have bleeding even though it's not actually. The thing is, if Abby has not had sex like in 6 months, and she's having periods that she thinks is bleeding, she's not going to suspect anything, is she?
No,
she's not going to go, oh, this bleeding isn't actually exactly 28 days after my last time. Lots of women don't have regular periods.
Yeah.
Especially because she knows how stressed she is.
Well,
that's another thing that affects your cycle, is being stressed out.
Do you think that she actually took a pregnancy test at New Year? Because she came
They
back...
can still get been wrong.
Yeah, it's
just a coincidence.
I find it very, very difficult to believe that Abby isn't pregnant.
Well, she was pregnant because I saw the baby.
In no way an expert on these things, but if she took a test, maybe she would have took more than one. Maybe she would have suspected or something, or was she just like blocking out the possibility, which is another very Abby thing to do. I think possibly she may have seen the signs that she was pregnant, but she didn't want that as an outcome, so she was just trying to push it back to the back of her head and maybe blot out the ideas with more booze and drugs. I don't know.
That's getting bordering on victim blaming.
Oh no, I don't mean it to be. I just
it's very difficult.
Struck me as odd.
I know.
And the fact that, and when she phoned up the ambulance,
she knew she was pregnant because she's been pregnant before, and she was giving birth, and she's done it before.
Getting the same sensations. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, I mean, do you think that she could actually be a good mum to Alfie if she kept him? Is she going to do it right this time? I'd like to think she can, but I also don't know whether I definitely trust the Corrie storyliners not to, if she does keep it, just say, she's relapsed again.
If she wants a chance to raise Alfie right, she needs to move to Jersey immediately.
Yeah, because it's like with Peter, and he's like, don't ever drink again.
I won't.
And then he does because it's just so tempting. I'd like to see her prove that she can be a good mum, but the character of Abby is just so self-destructive. I don't believe that she possibly could. It feels more likely at this stage that at least for part of the story, Toyah and Imran might end up keeping the baby. Like,
I've really been blindsided by this whole thing because, you know, it felt really predictable that Abby would have the baby, she'd run away from the hospital, and then the hospital would be like, we need to get our top fostering people on this. Who are the people that looked after that baby and didn't kill it last Christmas? I know, Toyah and Imran. Let's phone them up.
And then they'd be unawarely fostering
and then we'd
their
have,
own child.
Yeah, and then we'd have like Imran, Abby like wistfully watching them, like walking the baby in a stroller up the road.
Oh, yeah, and they're pushing the buggy along, and somebody would come up to them and say, "Oh, Imran, this like," or just a stranger in the street, like, he's got your eyes."
How cute! Oh, you guys are going to be fantastic parents. Congratulations, mum and dad.
Yeah, but now Toyah knows that there's no way that obviously Toyah can accidentally be given this baby.
No,
but it feels like they're going that way.
And also, I was kind of expecting to, and this is just me being an immature idiot, Toyah to be like, "Oh, Abby, so are you gonna keep the baby, or
I've got a good home?
Wanna donate it maybe to childless woman who loves babies?"
See, the thing is, they've been saying recently, and I can't remember when it was exactly, but haven't they been in talks with the foster people to allow another child to move in with them? Because they were saying, you know, because originally when they had Elsie, they said, well, we can't have Kelly come and live with us because we've got Elsie and she needs to live on her own.
Wasn't it to do with like, Elsie can't have other children?
Yeah, but recently, I'm sure I heard them saying, "Oh, Kelly, we're trying to pull some strings so that Elsie can have another child with them, so you can come and live with us." And I think now there was a scene at some point in the week where Imran saw Kelly and he's like, "You're doing all right with Maria and Kelly, that's good." So he's Maria and Gary.
Yeah.
So now Kelly doesn't need to move back with the Battersby. So but we can have another child. Alfie, come and live with us. I think that's possibly going that way.
It's possible that the social services might say, "We'll home Alfie somewhere while you prove that you are able to look after him." But I don't, in real life, of course, I don't think they're going to go,
yeah, let's just home him with your friend. Let's home him with somebody who lives just round the corner.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
But yeah, a situation where
Imran
knows that the baby is his, but Toyah doesn't, seems just too perfect and very cringy and like, so awkward to pass up.
Yeah. I don't think that knowing too much about how the social services works is going to be of any benefit to anybody in this
No,
story.
I don't think so. I don't think so. So how do you expect Imran to react when he finds
I want to see
out?
his face.
Because
It's got to be a cliffhanger at the end of an episode.
Because at the moment it's only Aggie and Toyah, isn't it, that know she's having this baby.
The question
I think by the
is,
end
right,
of next week
here's
it's
the
going to be
question.
common knowledge.
Is Imran going to find out Imran's got to find out when he's surrounded by people that he can't emote around.
Yeah.
Because if Abby just comes and tells him that's your son, then that would be quite dramatic. But I really just want to see him squirm.
I want to see him squirm.
Where he's like, where Toyah just kind of says, look, Abby, I know that it's not really my place to say, but you can trust Imran. This is Abby's baby. And then Imran will go, Rah!
Yeah, but I wonder whether he would realise straight away that it's his, or whether he think it was Kevin's first or someone else's, and then he's like,
because I don't know, but you can just imagine you could work it quite easily into the conversation. Like, this is Alfie. He's like really premature. He's only 6 months old. Can you remember what you were doing 6 months ago?
It's so tragic because ever since Imran and Toyah, ever since Imran and Abby got together that time, there seems to be a bit of a ticking time bomb over Toyah and Imran, and I'm kind of coming to making some peace with that now. Very, very sad. But this is a great story for them to go out on.
I could just imagine Chloe, the social worker, just coming into the street at the end of the story, just taking Alfie and Elsie under her arms and storming off. Going, you're not allowed these babies. You can't be trusted.
Oh, yeah. See, I also
taking them back.
I also can't wait to see the reactions from like Debbie and Jack and Kevin. Like Debbie's been kind of used a bit this week, hasn't she? And we've already seen her being kind of snappy, and she's gonna go absolutely spare.
Are Kevin and Debbie gonna assume that this is?
Well, quite, yeah. I mean,
Kevin's like, is Abby gonna let them think that for a little bit?
Well, Kevin knows that Abby had an affair. I think that Kevin's just gonna think it's Tezza's.
Or is there gonna be yeah, that's true. Is there gonna be a moment where everybody in the room thinks it's their baby?
I don't know.
There's so much in this story that is just so juicy.
There is, but you've got to like the characters to really enjoy it, because lots of people don't like Abby at the moment. Lots of people don't like Toyah, unfortunately, and I've seen a few people saying, well, she's sticking her neb in too much in there. She's being too much of a nag.
It would have been better to have established a very close relationship between Abby and Toyah before.
Unfortunately.
But you've got this plausible deniability of Toyah just being a counsellor and her natural instincts kicking in.
Yeah.
To I'm going to help you. You need somebody. I'm going to be that person because I'm a good person.
Yeah, I as a Toyah fan have very much loved
this whole
her contributions to this. But I can totally see some people going, "Shut up, Toyah. This isn't anything to do with you."
Wasn't she great when she said, "Abby"?
She was great with that, and
Bloody
I really did
together,
love
woman.
the Wednesday scene when she was in next to the hospital room with Abby and talking a bit of sense into her, but also being a kind, supportive friend. I thought it was very nice. I've also very much enjoyed Aggie's involvement in this story. Yes, it is very convenient that Aggie seems to be a nurse. The nurse of all trades. She can do everything, can't she? But I do like Aggie. Baileys are, we all know what we think of the Baileys. They've been in the show 3 years now, and they've not really done anything of note. But Aggie's nice. She's a good soul, isn't she? Maybe
I really liked this with Aggie just saying, "No, I'm not going to agonise over this or think about this. It's literally my job. You've told me this baby's yours. We wondered who the baby was, and now I know. So I'm phoning the hospital."
I was wondering as well, Aggie is just the go-to nurse. What if Rana had still been alive? Because she was also a nurse. What if she was involved in this? So she's unwittingly helping out with her
nephew.
Yeah, her nephew, exactly. But oh well.
Well, she's dead.
That's where it to be. What else have we got? There's just, lots of great stuff this week. I love the skip crash. I love the birthing scene. I loved all the stuff with Dean. I love the Abby and Toyah scenes. I was, every time this story came on the screen this week, it was like, brilliant. This is what I want to see.
This is one of the A stories of 2022.
This is going to
Feels
run.
like
so it. I mean, those of you who aren't enjoying this story, I'm very sorry for you.
Those of you who aren't interested in this story are just going to have to get your nourishment from watching
Grace's birthday party
and Sam playing chess. So
yeah, absolutely. What else did we have? I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we've missed. Was the Mr. Hare thing in this storyline, or was that more the Adam storyline?
It was probably more of Adam, wasn't it? Because he refused.
That was so fun. I think, yeah, that was just the scene where the guy comes in and he's got stupid hair, and Imran and Adam's reaction is like, you wanna sue the hairdresser? It's like, what? No.
Yeah, and Imran's laughing, and it's like, laugh it up now while you can.
I also really appreciated that It's Nighttime scene on Sunday's episode at the end of the second half, where they had a couple of scenes of just like Abby at night, and they had Laura and Kelly kind of tucking up on the sofa and Sam reading his book.
Yeah, it was just a nighttime montage.
We went through a stage of our old Corrie episode watchings last year where they had in the 15-minute break, it turned into the next day, and it wasn't completely uncommon for one episode to be set across 2 days, but they never do that now, do they? So it was nice when they did it this time. I love it. Oh, another great scene that I enjoyed. Nice bit of direction there. When they had Toyah upset in the kitchen and the camera pans to the left. That was today's, wasn't it? It goes through the wall, and then you've got Abby getting her drugs. Just lots of good stuff, really. And I think people have heard enough of this, really. So. This is
probably the first time in a while that we've managed to talk about the A story of the week for such a long time.
Without just saying, yeah, and this happened, and Joseph's staying in the country, and Tim's going to be all right. This is the first thing in a long time that's properly got my juices flowing. And I hope that they can keep up the standard next week. There were, the B and C storylines weren't necessarily as compelling. Yeah, I hope
and I just know that there are going to be lots of different perspectives and opinions on this, because it's an emotive subject, and people, like I said before, the way you react to stories is as much about you and where you are in your life and what you are like as a person as it is about the stories themselves. And we know that this can be a very harrowing experience to watch something like this.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because it is sad, and I really do hope that the baby survives, and I just can't do any more sad, horrible baby stories, child hospital.
No, I don't need any more of that. Not after Ollie. I don't think they would after.
I really
Ollie
hope not. I think
Rory.
we need some nice,
we need
happy...
Alfie to live. But do you think ultimately is Alfie gonna stay with Abby, or will Alfie stay with Imran? That's the question. I don't know whether I always say like that. I don't like characters that I enjoy being tied down with babies. I don't like characters that I don't enjoy being tied down with babies, really. Having a baby is a bit of a millstone around your character's neck for quite a few years, isn't it? As Gemma is currently finding out.
It didn't always used to be, though, on Coronation Street. Like I said before, I enjoyed watching young Gail and young Deirdre raise their children.
I suppose with lots of other characters, there's just like, well, if we don't want to show the baby, we just don't. Like, what's going on with Harry at the moment? We saw him once last week, but that was it for a long time. What's going on with Lydia's kid, Finn, who I'm still not completely convinced is actually hers and living with her at the moment, because where is he when she's out sneaking about at 3:00 at night sending
and where was he when
Adam's router?
And the other thing is, where was he when
the flat was overturned,
when Lydia was eating dinner by herself? I know that you don't always eat dinner with your children, but normally isn't that when there's a couple and children? Like, if you're a single mum, isn't it easier to eat dinner with your kid?
Yeah.
And then when Adam came in and started, and Lydia's throwing stuff about, Finn never woke up and went...
Finn didn't walk into the room and get a plate in his face.
Mummy, what the hell are you doing? Lunatic.
Yeah, so maybe if Abby does get to keep this kid, it'll just be upstairs listening to its tapes for the first 15 years or something.
Can we go and watch
I don't know.
Peppa Pig?
Oh, but Imran wants a kid so much. They
But so
can't
does
have
Toyah.
it together. Imran and Abby are not going to end up together, I hope.
That would be weird.
That would be very weird, and I really, really hope that doesn't happen. So it's going to be one or the other, and it's going to be heartbreaking because they both really, really want that kid. And Alfie is a cute name.
Alfie is really an adorable name, and it breaks all my rules.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You like your names
I have
to be
rules about
no nicknames, no shortening names as the Christian name.
Well, the thing is,
it feels like
it's
an
on
Abby
form.
name.
Yeah,
yeah, it feels like it really fits, and I don't know why.
So you've got Abby's got Charlie, Lexi, Seb and Alfie. But really, if she was a middle class mum, it'd be Alexis, Charles, Sebastian, and Alfred.
She did say it could be short for Alfred, didn't she? When
she said Alfred was his name.
Yeah, when she was talking to Thingy. Well, Sebastian is actually Seb's name.
Is it?
He is Sebastian Franklin. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to a different story. If you're sick of this one,
Do you think he was named after the crab?
Probably.
Well, the athlete.
Sick Neelan. So, Sunday. Kelly.
Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah, this week giveth, this week taketh away. And the first scene of this story was Gary doing his bloody stupid aerobics. Who thought that was a good idea? He'd found the Coronation Street Funk Fit DVD from 1999, and he was there doing the most ridiculous Mr. Motivator routine, wasn't he? With his silly headband on and his... Oh,
I have to say...
Poor Mikey North having to do this.
I found these scenes, like, despite my best objections, some of them were quite funny, but I did find it quite jarring that Gary became a comedic character for quite a few episodes this week, when actually this story is about how he murdered somebody's dad.
Yeah, this story is supposed to be like gritty, dark, Britain's Got Talent week, mega reveal, ultimate villain, this has been going on for 3 years material.
Yeah, if you rewind us back to that scene where Gary is staving Rick's head in with a stone in the middle of the forest, and then you said to us, 3 years' time, this story will involve a funny scene with Gary doing aerobics.
And then the daughter of the person whose head he's just caved in will come and say, "Oh, what are you doing?"
And then he'll go, "Oh my God, you've walked in on me, my secret." And she'll go, "What, you killed my dad?" And he'll go, "No, I like aerobics." I would have said, that's a bit weird. Why are we going down that route?
Some scenes just feel like, the script writer is given the brief of, right, in this scene this needs to happen, but it needs to last this amount of time. They're like, okay, what can we fill it with? Gary doing aerobics?
The thing is, I also don't think that even the character of Gary was convinced that he was actually surprised. Like, the whole thing felt like he was making fun of the fact that he wasn't... it just, it didn't work.
Basically, the idea of the scene was to show that everything's great, chez Windass, and Kelly's got a busy day ahead of her. Everyone's happy. Kelly's pretending to be happy. She says, "I've got my work and my meeting my mates and everything," but actually, she's going to see her mum, isn't she? She's a secret mum visitation, who is laid up on the sofa reading about Corrie fans in the Manchester Evening News and looking a bit worse for wear. Now, was it you or me that noticed it? I mean, I know other viewers noticed this.
Notice what?
Laura on her newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
Corrie
you
fans.
Noticed it. I didn't.
Yeah, she was lying there, and she had a copy of the Manchester Evening News, and you found this article, didn't you, online later? It was from 2018, and what was the headline? Corrie fans begging McLeod no more dark drug stories, or that was the gist of the article.
I'm totally mortified because we watched this late. So we couldn't go through Twitter, and people had already tweeted before we had watched. So we couldn't go through Twitter as we were watching it to see if somebody else posted.
Didn't want any spoilers.
So I went and did exactly what Talk of the Street did half an hour before me, which was literally to Google the headline and find the article. So I posted like half an hour later, and I feel really bad because it looks like I was like, I'm just going to copy and hope nobody noticed. Yeah. But we couldn't check Twitter until we'd finished watching.
Thank goodness, because we would have found out about Abby going into labour, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
But that was how on earth did that get through editing? It was like plain as day, a headline saying Corrie fans something. It's like so bad. But anyway, it gave us a giggle.
That there's a saboteur. in the props department who wants them to stop doing drug storylines.
It was so on the nose as well, wasn't it? It was literally the gist of the article was Corrie's been too dark underneath Kate Oates. No more drug storylines.
No more
please.
vicars shooting up in churches.
Literally in the same episode where Abby was doing drugs with Dean. Anyway, Kelly sets to looking after her mum and was all cleaning up and putting her massive slippers on and stuff. Later on, Carrie sees Kelly in the street. Gary sees Kelly in the street. Hasn't got time to chat. She's far too preoccupied with all her Laura stuff. And then Simon comes in and is like, hello, can I be in this story? And Kelly's like, oh, if you must, but mate, only one episode, okay? So she kind of unloads all her woes onto him, apart from the whole mum thing. She doesn't mention that at that point. But then when they go to the gardens later, Victoria Gardens, this is when she tells him about her mum being sick. Can't tell Gary though, she says. He doesn't want her to have anything to do with Laura. So Simon says, look, I struggled looking after my mum after Ollie died. I was there going to be in her carer basically. I should have told people I was struggling, and so should you. Thank you, Osage Simon. Monday's episode, Maria starts off the episode thinking, so, elections coming up at some point, next couple of months, better get going on this old election campaign. It turns out she's got a rival in the paper or something, so she enlists Gary and Kelly to do a little bit of campaigning. She's also going to give... I'm so not interested. I couldn't be less interested in the story of Maria running for election.
And I want to just say one thing. I find this baffling considering Coronation Street prides itself on its commitment to being a green production, that the story of somebody who's earnestly trying to fight to improve the environment for the health of their children is just either an idiot or a boring nag. You know, depending on who you ask. I don't think anybody's watching this going, yes, Maria is a role model and she's convinced me to go into local politics and get rid of my SUV.
Vote green. The one thing I did enjoy from this was like her poster slogan saying about clean air, and somebody saying, hey Maria, shouldn't that say clean hair? That was kind of funny. But no, I got no time for this election campaign. But anyway, it also means that because she's going to be stepping up on that, she's going to give Kelly more responsibility at the barber's shops. Why don't you cut Stu's hair tomorrow? And Kelly's acting very dodgy as she's clearly supposed to be with her mum.
I like the fact that the insinuation is that, like, it's only Stu.
Yeah.
Cut his hair.
The local scruff bag.
Yeah.
Last time Stu got his hair cut, you literally couldn't tell the difference anyway, could you? Do you remember?
Yeah.
So this is when Imran sees Kelly in the street and she lies to him about being happy and living the best life and everything, which is what makes me think that
everybody lies and says they're happy and living their best life.
Yes. Oh, Simon sees her again then, doesn't he? And he says, oh, you can't keep this all up, Kelly. Then Laura calls her up. She's fallen over. Whoopsie daisy. She can't get up. Kelly goes round to rescue her.
She's like a tortoise.
And she's on her back, crawling around.
Help.
Rolling about. And so Kelly has to set her upright and say, look, things are getting worse with you, our man. You need to get some proper help. Laura's like, no, I don't want it. I'm fine. Just let me suffer. Don't worry about it.
Die in a ditch.
Yeah. So Kelly agrees to stay with her overnight. Next morning.
I just want to say one thing. I genuinely do not think that in this country... that you would be left alone like this. There are Macmillan nurses, there are district nurses, there are hospices, there are facilities, and I would hope that nobody is being left to roll around on the floor.
It seems just that Laura doesn't want help. She's just being...
this is the unfortunate trap that Coronation Street falls into, whereby they... want to make an issue storyline about something that genuinely affects people, and there is, we are lucky in this country. I know people fall through the cracks all the time, and I'm not going to say it's perfect, but we are very fortunate in this country to have a wide range of charities and government-backed entities that support people in lots of different circumstances. So there's almost always somewhere you can turn to, and in order for the story to have a happy ending, Coronation Street needs to lead the character into this help. But unfortunately, the journey from the beginning to the end where they seek help is the middle part of them going, no, I'm fine. No, I don't need it. No, I'm fine.
Tell you who would make an excellent Macmillan nurse. Aggie. Just finished my shift on paediatrics. Now
but I tell you what, I wouldn't eat the soup she made me.
Oh yeah, no. Imagine having Aggie is there giving you
I couldn't find any soup, so I've just made you Marmite with hot water.
Don't you like lose so you taste sort of if you're on chemo or whatever, maybe things don't taste the same way. So Aggie could just spoon feed them whatever she's made.
She comes home and she says, "I've made everybody a savoury olive and anchovy cake. My patients love it."
Anyway, for the story to work, Kelly needs to be able to be the one that's looking after her. Old saintly Kelly, doesn't she? So it's the next morning. Oh yeah, Monday was the 2-day episode, wasn't it? Next morning, Maria's outside the barber shop, pretty peeved because Kelly's not turned up to work. And Simon says that you really, really need to talk to her, actually. So yeah, she's still at Laura's, feeding her soup out of a tin, warm apparently. Then Gary comes round. Kelly sighs.
You can't give gazpacho to cancer patients. Not in winter.
Gary comes round. It seems like Flamin' Simon has told him where she is. So they have a bit of a sit on the sofa. Why didn't you tell me the truth? My mum's dying. She should be at hospital. She needs proper care. No, she's not. She's me mum. I'm going to look after her. So on, so on. And Gary says, look, why... I'm going to take you home now, and so that me and Maria can have a bit of a chat with you and trying to convince you that you shouldn't be doing this alone. We're going to help you out.
Had thought about this before he staved Rick's head in.
Yeah, I know. Wednesday's
this
episode...
goes to show you no good deed goes unpunished.
I know. Wednesday's episode, Kelly says, "Oh, Maria, I'm going to have to hand me notice in at the barber's. Sorry, can't risk me mum having another fall." Maria says, "No, this is your future." She's like, how long has Maria worked in this place? And now Maria is like, you are destined to be a
Kelly.
What? Yeah. How long has Kelly worked in this place? Now Maria is saying, this is your destiny. This is your. She's
not wrong though. Kelly could, she seems interested. Being a hairdresser, I just want to point out, is consistently ranked as one of the happiest careers.
Job satisfaction, for sure.
Yeah, one of the highest, top 3.
And Kelly does need something to, to get her claws into, doesn't she? Maria doesn't want her drifting off into her dodgy, evil teen ways again. But it just felt a bit like, no, you are a hairdresser and you're going to be a hairdresser until the day you die, so suck it up and deal with it, Kelly.
Go and trim my split ends.
Yes. So Kelly goes off to the barber. She does a lovely job. Maria says, "Oh, what a great haircut you've had." And also, as a bonus, if you like, Laura can come and live with us. So this is how Maria and Gary have decided to resolve this situation. So now, I mean, at first it was a problem that Kelly was living with them because Maria worried that she's going to find out about Gary killing her dad. And now there's 2 of them. So you got the wife and the daughter of Carrie's murder victim just living at their house. Because
just to remind everybody, Maria knows.
Maria knows this. Yes, we do, yeah.
And doesn't Sarah know?
Yes, Sarah knows. Sarah knows because Gary knows about Callum.
We need a chart.
Need to come out. We do. We need some sort of flow chart for this. So Gary and Maria have invited Laura around. She comes round, she's putting her feet up, she's making herself at home pretty quickly, but
stealing
she wants to do her bit round here. Also,
what do you mean?
She just wants to help out, doesn't she? She don't want to live there. She doesn't want to be a freeloader. Yeah,
I'd freeload if that's all I had left in my life.
Well, she hasn't. She's got something else in her life. The plan to steal Rick's money and leave it all to Kelly. So she's decided she's going to get herself a private investigator, find out where Rick is once and for all, and fleece him for all he's got.
This is not consistent with what we have been told about Rick's relationship with Kelly. And it would make more sense if Laura was saying, I want to get hold of Rick. We don't like each other, but he loves the bones of that girl. And I know that if he realised I was going to die, he would come back and look after her. But instead she's being all, I'm going to steal his money. It's like, okay, this is not a good plan though, is it? Because this is an extra step on top of finding Rick that might not even work. And also, I don't know if anyone can help you with.
I don't know whether Rick's actually got any money left now. Didn't Gary just find it and steal it all and spend it?
I think the missing link here is Sharon.
Yes,
nobody's mentioning Sharon. She's the obvious person that I would be looking for.
Yeah, good point.
She actually was one of the last people. Never mind Gary.
She could have been our 3rd character return of the week because we had Nicky. We could have had Sharon, but we did have Lenny, didn't we? And I forgot
Oh my God.
That was funny.
This was another scene. This was another set of
silly,
scenes
funny.
that, despite myself, I found funny, but I was begrudgingly laughing because it won me over.
It was so cheesy. Lenny, he took me a long time to warm to, I think, before. Because it's like, why is this serious storyline got this hapless PI that just seems to find the whole thing a joke? But anyway, he was back again as funny as ever, which maybe for some of you isn't very funny, but I kind of enjoyed him. And Gary's filling him in on his plan, which is to pretend to be investigating Rick, but not actually find anything. So now Gary's going to be in the clear. Plan. Yeah, not bad. So Gary takes Lenny home, introduces him to Laura, and Laura's like, hang on a minute, I know you. You were sniffing around my house a couple of years ago trying to find me. Because this is when she went missing for a bit. Yeah, I know. And Gary said... Gary had Lenny on the case there, and Lenny's like, no. Lenny's like, no. That's my brother Lenny. My name's Kenny. And she's like, I don't believe a word of this. He's going to be next, Benny. It was very, very silly.
Farcical.
But it was very farcical.
It made me laugh, and I was mad at myself.
Good job, Coronation Street. You made me chuckle. So anyway, Gary meets Maria in the pub later and says what's happened. Which is basically Laura has said, I'm not having that dodgy guy looking for Rick. I'm going to find my own private investigator, who she meets on Friday, along with Gary. Gary kind of invites himself along to this just so he can scope out the enemy. And it's this ex-cop guy. He's kind of stocky, beefy guy that I don't think Gary would be able to take in a fight, would he? I mean, Gary's had a bit of a reputation for always coming out worse, whoever he was up against for a good while.
He definitely would get hammered into the floor. He
would absolutely, he'd be this guy would make mincemeat out of him. So Laura's saying, look, I just want to know how to get my hands on Rick's money. And the guy's like, right, first things first, who was the last person who was in contact with Rick? And Gary's like, oh yeah, that's me. He's probably going to be asking me some questions I'm not really prepared to answer.
This guy's the sort of person you say, I've lost my keys, and he says, where's the last place you saw him? Like, thanks, genius.
He's an ex-cop, Trevor. He knows his stuff. So
well, he's probably an ex-cop from Weatherfield precinct, so...
Oh yeah, say no more. That's not that precinct. So anyway, the Gary's like, yeah, I was in contact with Rick. I didn't know much. He was phoning me from Spain. He was sending me the money to give to Kelly to pay for her school. Don't really know anything, but I'll look for his number for him and pass it on to you. And the guy's satisfied at the moment. Gary's looking rather worried. What's he got himself into? So Laura is fairly shady of suspicious of Gary's shadiness vis-a-vis Rick, and she's like saying, well, why aren't you telling him everything? Surely you must have known something. But luckily for Gary, before they can go any further into that little rabbit hole, Kelly comes home and Gary makes Laura tell her what they're up to. Kelly finds out about this whole inheritance stick, and she's like, I don't want any of his money. I don't want anything from him. He's abandoned me. She seemed to do it. She's done a bit of a flip.
Again, this is not
convenient
consistent.
for the plot. I thought that she kind of did want to find her dad before.
She used to say that he was the only one that loved her and her mum was the evil one.
Yeah. And now she's like, I don't want anything to do with him. He might as well be dead for all I care, sort of thing.
Which is, probably, to be fair, a reaction that is to be expected. And she's left here, she's a young girl, and she's trying to look after her mum, and her dad's not anywhere to be seen. You can understand why she's cross.
Yeah, you can. But
it does feel,
helpful for the plot,
yeah.
and also very helpful for Gary, because he's like, yeah, you should listen to your daughter. I don't think you should be looking for Rick anymore. Just give up on it. It's fine. She doesn't want the money. Please don't try to find his murderer. I mean, the person who saw him last and know where he is. So, thoughts on this one, Gemma? Enjoyment of this story this week? Glad that the Rick's body story is possibly coming to the surface again.
I'm just finding the tone very strange and flipping from, proper how I expected it to be, a serious story to we're gonna have a man.
Lenny, Kenny, Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was. I'm not gonna lie. It was funny. The aerobics thing, hit or miss.
Miss.
I just find it odd. I think that they realised too late that Gary could be quite funny, and they're trying to milk it while they've got the chance.
Yeah, I still need Imran to get involved in this story, and I'm worried that what with him obviously now being very heavily involved in the Abby story, I don't know whether there's room for him in this, but they can't.
It's
they
too
cannot
convoluted. It just feels so
not
convoluted.
have Imran involved in this, considering Rana.
I know,
I think he's up for a busy year, is Charlie. One thing that was of note, I thought, on this is that I think Laura is actually properly poorly, because I think before we were thinking, is she faking it? But Kelly was literally getting text messages from the pharmacy, wasn't she this week, saying your mum's drugs are ready.
The thing is, she's not like just lying on the sofa and coughing and being pathetic. Like, sometimes she's fine and sometimes she's not, and that's normal for being, dying of cancer. Like, you'll have good days and you'll have crap days, and I think if you were faking it, you'd be sick all the time, and you would,
Yeah, she'd be clearly milking it, and then she'd give some furtive glances to the camera at the end of a scene to make it look like I'm not really. But
to be honest, I'm kind of wishing that she was faking it, because I don't.
We don't want another sad death story, but it's only Laura. I'm not mega invested in the character, but
again, if you're somebody who is having to deal with cancer, this is now going to be, the 4th year in a row that we've had somebody dying of cancer on Coronation Street. It just feels like, can we just give it a break now?
Yeah, well,
I know that cancer affects everybody.
Maybe she will go to the hospice and she'll just die over there.
I genuinely know. Don't try to tell me I know better than you think I know about how it affects people's lives, and it just doesn't feel like I need it to be on the show.
No, I don't either. And I can't see many viewers being particularly sad about Laura dying when she dies, because she's not a beloved camera.
Could she not die of something else,
Yeah.
I know that all the cancers are different, but when you're, if your life is affected by cancer, you don't tend to differentiate.
Maybe she's gonna be the one that finds out about Rick and what Gary's done.
Say she's gonna be the one that finds the cure.
No,
that would be good.
That'd be a nice twist, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No, she's gonna find out about Rick. Gary's gonna club her over the head with a stone. Kelly's gonna walk in, find her mother lying bleeding there on the floor, and Gary's like, "It was the cancer. It got her. It's just suddenly got really, really worse."
Out of her head.
Yeah. So this was okay, this story, but I can't say much more than that. I'm maybe enjoying it more than I thought I would, and it's hopefully ramping up nicely to please, let's have the reveal about Gary dropping the roof on Rana's head and killing Rick. So, the thrill of the chest, Gemma. Sam's chest storyline, get ready for this, because this spanned all 4 episodes this week, but I think we can probably get through it fairly quickly. And I'm not saying that I didn't like the story, but there were a few scenes that felt similar to other scenes earlier in the week.
It's only because a lot of them were involved looking at a chessboard and people picking up bits of wood.
And Sam giving his death glare to Brian and Roy. The
Paddington Bear stare.
Yeah.
Sunday, Sam's been up all hours reading chess books.
Hang on a minute, this is my story, isn't it?
No,
did I do the last
just did
one?
The last one.
Oh, did I? Sorry. Oh, yeah, I did.
Sam's been up all hours reading chess books, and he's determined he's going to win the chess.
Yeah, he's pretty miffed after Roy defeated him
and
last week.
And then Leanne's like, don't worry, you'll get there in the end. You just need to learn to deal with defeat. I think he is.
He has by the end of the week.
Can I just say one thing, though? I feel like this is unfair, because I get the impression that once Sam beats Roy, he's never going to play him again. But I don't think that's fair, because if Roy was like that, then Sam would never stand a chance, would he? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nick goes to see Roy and says, can you please teach Sam without crushing his spirit? Sam comes back to apologise to Roy, says I was being unsportsmanlike the other day. Brian's there too, and he offers him to be his adversary. So let the game begin. Chess happens, and Sam wins, and Brian's in shock, and Roy's watching proudly, but it turns out that he has been taking notes, and he's written down all of the moves that Sam and Brian had done in his special little notebook that he can record all his games in to help him improve his play.
And then he gives him his little note, but that was quite
And as
cute.
you said, it would have been pretty but poor if Sam had lost. It's like Roy knew that Brian was crap at chess, because if his first entry in his special little chess book had been him losing to Brian as well.
Yeah.
Would have been pretty tragic, wouldn't it?
I really enjoyed seeing Roy as the kind of the Mr. Miyagi of this, and looking on with pride.
It
that
is
his
a bit like
young grasshopper
a really
trounced
boring
Mr.
Karate
Mr.
Kid.
Packham.
Yeah. You know, say what you want about martial arts and physical sports. At least you can tell he's winning. Right, so Sam says, I've never won a game before, apart from against my dad, which doesn't really count, which I thought was quite funny. Nick comes to collect Sam, and Roy tells Nick that Brian didn't let him win, and Sam's rate of progress is incredible, and he wants to carry on training him in the chess dojo. So on Monday, Sam's in a good mood. Nick brings him round, and they have a funny scene where Leanne's handwriting is indecipherable. And it looks like she's written cinder burned pork, but it's cider braised pork.
I don't get how I get how the cider looked like cinder, but the word braised didn't in any way look like burnt.
No. Nick gets a call from the school because Sam is not doing very well at school. He's not concentrating. He's doodling chess stuff in his test instead of writing the answers. And Nick tells Leanne this chess obsession is getting unhealthy. So Nick kind of cracks down on Sam and makes him do his homework. And he's saying, you can't play chess anymore because you've got to take a break. So the next morning, Sam gets ready for school, and Gail can see how upset he is because he can't play chess. Nick goes to the cafe to tell Roy that he's not playing anymore. And so Roy agrees to go along with it. And Nick tells Gail, and she thinks he's overreacting. On Wednesday, Nick and Sam agree to go bowling because Nick wants to go bowling. Brian goes to the cafe and tells Leanne about how Sam won at chess, and he's disappointed to hear that Sam's been banned. And Leanne's kind of inspired by Sam's, progress and how he's managed to beat a grown man at chess. So she thinks twice about this ban, and she goes to see Roy. And Roy says, I'm going to stand behind Nick's... God, this is boring, isn't it? Roy says, I'll stand behind Nick's decision as a parent, but it is a shame. And Leanne says, can you do secret clandestine chess lessons? Even though Nick agrees with me, and he says, fine. So Leanne takes Sam on Friday to Roy to play secret chess. And Sam's not happy about lying to Nick. Leanne says, just see it as a strategy that you can use to win what you want. Nick offers to pick up Sam from school, and Leanne says, no, I'll do it. And she takes him to play chess, and they do chess. And Roy wins the chess game, and he says, you did the chess wrong. And then Leanne comes and says, too much chess for today, let's go. And
Leanne's
Roy says,
there's that Leanne throughout these scenes. It just seems to be
like
dropping off to sleep,
boring,
isn't she?
Bloody hell. And they're going, oh, the chess move here and the chess move there. And the chess game, chess, Sam, home, bistro, chess, Nick, chess, park. No chess, he was at the park. Don't tell anybody, he's playing at the park all the time, it's not chess. The end.
So, enjoyed this story then.
Basically, Sam plays chess. Sam does work bad at school. Nick says, no more chess. Leanne says, secret chess. Nick doesn't know.
I didn't find it too boring, to be honest.
It was boring to be honest. It was more boring to read it out than it actually was to watch on screen. I do feel as though I would get more out of it if I understood chess. I don't know enough about chess to know if this is engaging. Are they talking about stuff that's actually really deeply meaningful to chess lovers? In which case, fantastic. I'm glad that they get to see some fun chess stuff on the screen. I don't begrudge that of anybody. I don't feel like there's enough chess representation on mainstream television. Just very difficult for me to follow, and it's my own fault because I'm dumb.
I mean, I don't think you have to be able to follow chess. I know the way that the pieces move.
I know you said this before, like you're boasting.
And I know that when somebody says checkmate, that's the end of the game.
I thought checkmate just meant I've nearly got you.
No, that's just check.
Oh, God,
check is I've nearly got you. Checkmate is you lose, sucker.
Well,
So I think the story could have been a lot more boring had it been different characters.
Yeah.
I like Sam. Yeah. I like Roy. So actually, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just an awful lot of scenes that's just them playing chess. I actually found it kind of interesting that all these different strategies and moves. Literally, I know so little about it. I didn't know that there were the such and such procedure,
Well,
and
I knew
using
they had all these
the
weird...
bloody blue technique. I thought it was all just.
I knew that they had that. I knew that they were like well established strategies and methodologies.
I literally had no idea. That just
Really?
goes to show what a dunce I am. I just thought you just moved your pieces
can I
around
just
and
say
hope for the best, because that's what I do.
Right, I don't know how many people are going to understand this reference, but it feels to me like you're watching an anime or like Yu-Gi-Oh or something, where people are like, aha, he's played the blue-eyed dragon, but I've got a trap card. And you're like, what? I don't know. Cool.
I think this just goes to show why chess and strategy games in general aren't for me. But no, I thought it was semi-interesting. I thought that the quandary of should he be playing all this much chess was kind of interesting, because it seems that Nick is being made out to be a bit of an arse about it. There isn't any more. Yeah, Nick's got a point, is there? No characters are secretly saying.
Every single time anybody like comes up against a dilemma on a soap, they're like, "I'm gonna go all in on this solution."
What? Do you think that Nick's got a point at all? Because I'm kind of thinking maybe he does. And I know it's like, Sam's mum's dead and everything, and he's found this thing that he really loves, and who are we to begrudge Sam his little obsession? But if he's going to bed at 1:00 at night, that's probably not good for him.
Okay.
Here's the teacher in me saying he's got his SATs in 2 weeks. It's not 2 weeks, 2 months.
Yeah.
He's got some quite important tests, and I know they're not his A levels. I know it's not his degree, but he needs to concentrate on his SATs. And if he's drawing little pawns on his practice SATs papers, he probably will do fine in the actual ones at the end of the day. And lots of people are going to say SATs don't matter, but as a Year 6 teacher, I can't say that fully. I'm not going to endorse that viewpoint. Fight me. And I want Sam to do well in secondary school, and I want him to be in all the top sets and everything.
I just really genuinely think that I'm not a parent or a teacher. I see a little boy, he's super into stuff, he's 10 years old, let him play chess. What's the harm? It's not drugs, it's not, he's not playing Grand Theft Auto. Let him play chess, and actually he could make this his career. He could go on YouTube and be a chess prodigy. He could become a famous chess TikToker. I don't know, but I do know that I don't think that at 10 years old you can ruin your life with chess.
I'd also like to encourage Sam to make friends his own age and not some guy in his 70s.
But are they not like child... Can you not go to a child chess camp?
What did they say? They said something about chess club in school the other week,
I bet
didn't they?
All the kids are stupid, though, and they stick the stuff up their noses and they can't play.
I do imagine that Sam is, by quite a long chalk, the most intelligent kid at Bessie Street. But
it's obvious the solution here is clearly a balance, whereby Nick says you can only read your chess book, until at 9:00 at night or whenever you're supposed to be in bed.
Exactly. They as parents should be able to put their feet down and say, now you stop your chess, but not completely ban it.
I'm going to completely ban you from playing chess. I want to see Sam go off to chess camp in America at summer. That would be awesome, don't you think?
Yeah. I think now would be a good time for Sam to be able to develop some social skills with children of his own age, because he's going to be going to Weatherfield High next year, where he's going to completely have the rip taken out of him if all he can talk about is chess and nerdy scientific stuff. And I'm not saying children shouldn't be interested in that. It's great. I know lots of children that are interested in that kind of stuff, but I just get the impression
I'm not a clever one.
That when he goes to Weathy High in September, he's going to be majorly out of his depth and he's going to really struggle, I think. But I don't even know whether Corrie's going to go down that route. He'd probably be fine because he'll have Mr. Osborne looking after him, but I don't know. I just think that Nick has maybe got a bit of a point with this.
It's very interesting how we're differing a bit more than we usually do about child things. And you're like saying, Chesney shouldn't send his kid to Portugal, and Nick's right,
Yeah.
Are you maturing in your outlook on children?
Maybe.
And I'm regressing.
Here's something that we absolutely must agree on, otherwise I just don't think there's a future for our marriage. Blancmange, Gemma?
What do we
Blancmange
have to
at the
agree
bistro?
on?
Good idea about it. But is blancmange nice or is it horrible?
You think it's horrible?
I wouldn't say that I would like blancmange, no.
blancmange is just a set milk pudding, isn't it?
I haven't had it for a very long time. Like, we used to have... Did you ever have any funny jelly moulds in the shape of anything when you were little?
We had loads of weird... We had, like, petit four cases. I don't know why.
We had a cat jelly mould in our house, and I'm sure my mum used to make blancmanges in there sometimes, and it was just... I think whenever I had it, it was just like, I wish this was jelly.
Yeah, I can't say it's classic.
No.
When I was watching
this scene... It's a classic from the 60s. It's a classic Fanny Craddock.
When I was watching this scene, I was thinking, no, do something fun with possets.
Yeah, I can't imagine that
Honestly,
the citizens of Weatherfield are going to be flocking to the bistro for a taste of Leanne's spicy blancmange.
No, I think possets are where it's at because everybody loves that classic, properly oldie worldy English stuff. Blancmange is retro. We're not on retro. We've done retro. Retro was like the last 5 years. Now we're on to classic, old school, medieval type.
Well, thank goodness you and I agree on something. Let's talk about the Nicky story.
And I don't know if anybody knows what a posset is.
It's just
lots
like
of
a
people.
lemon thing.
It's a very, 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 very classic, famous dish
lovely.
here now. But really, it's so simple.
Oh, it's great.
It's just you get cream and you boil it with sugar, and then you put lemon juice in it. And that's literally all you do.
It's so
and
nice.
It sets into a very dense, very sour and sweet cream pudding. And it's a classic English dish.
But you can spoil it a little bit by putting lemon zest in it. I don't want any of that. No bits in my posset, please. No. Right, Nicky. So on Monday, Daisy. It doesn't probably kick until Wednesday, but the Monday episode is the whole anti-spiking lid thing, which is a bit weird. Daisy, the person who drugged Daniel a couple of years ago, Ryan, is saying, "Oh, look at these special lids that you can put on your cup, and now nobody will be able to get in. It's like a force field, so nobody can spike you, Amy."
I've learned the error of my ways.
Spread the word. Take these anti-spiking lids everywhere. And anyway, that's kind of all there was.
At least they did raise the point that it puts the onus to stop spiking on the victim.
Yes, yeah, Amy did say that, didn't she? Amy almost had a drink at the Rovers, but not quite. She still hasn't had her first cocktail at the Rovers, has she? Which,
I think was a fair point, and I'm glad somebody raised it, and I'm glad that they had this, but...
That wasn't the point of the story this week, was it? There was also a bit in that episode where Daniel and Daisy say we should go on holiday this year, which comes up later in the week, and they're like, "Oh, commitment." So Wednesday, Nicky's
Daniel's
back.
Like, "Let's go on holiday. I'll get 6 weeks off a year."
Oh yeah, of course.
I'll go off for 6 weeks.
They're going to literally book a 6-week long holiday.
They will do. Watch them.
Yeah.
I liked it. There was a scene today where Daisy's like, "Oh, watch out! You better go to school." Like he'd forgotten, and then later on he says to Nicky, "Yeah, let's have I'll meet you at the pub at 4." Piss off, Daniel, you part-timer.
It's only a trainee, apparently. I don't. Right, so Nicky is back. Remember Nicky, everybody? Now she was the sex worker who worked at Chariot Square Hotel. Ensnaring all the grieving people that were there and others, and Daniel paid her good money to dress up as Sinead, talk like Sinead, basically be reincarnated Sinead after Sinead died. It was weird. And then she went off to go and work in a B&B, I'm going to say, in Lytham.
Daniel doesn't even have the grace to look slightly embarrassed when he's trying to explain to Daisy who this person is.
No, just wait until it all comes out.
He also didn't go, "Nicky, where's my cash? I thought you were pursuing your dream." She's like, "Hello, I'm back. Lytham was boring. Thanks for the money. Actually, turns out I didn't need it after all, because now I want to be a TA."
Don't spoil it, Gemma.
I'm sorry.
So Nicky shows up on Wednesday, and of course, the first person that she bumps into is Daisy. And she's like, "I'm looking for Daniel." And Daisy's like, "Hello, is this beautiful girl come after my man? I'm going to pretend I don't know him." "No, sorry, he's moved down south to put his past behind him, and I don't have his phone number anymore. What a shame."
I think he changed it.
Yeah. So Daniel comes home later to find Daisy doing a bit of cooking. They go off for a bit of rompy-pumpy. And then post-bonk Daisy later says to Daniel, "So, how many girlfriends you had then? Because you're quite a catch there, Mr. Osborne. Or how many special girlfriends at least? And where do I fall?
I had one very special one, but she died. Thanks for bringing it up.
On the special spectrum?" Anyway, they end up snuggling on the sofa in front of 50 First Dates.
No, it wasn't.
Spanish 51st.
I thought it
Oh
turned
no!
out...
It did, didn't it? It was supposed. They thought it was 51st Dates, but it was actually a Spanish blue movie with the same name.
Is it like a famous?
I don't know.
Dirty.
I like 51st Dates. That's a nice
The
film.
original.
The original, the proper one. So
I don't. I think it's rapey.
I know. I thought you did. They go to the pub. Daisy spots a voicemail from Nicky on Daniel's phone, so she's found his number somehow. I don't know. And then Daisy listens to it and deletes it. Ooh.
Oh, what a bitch!
Sneaky. So Friday morning starts with Daniel and Daisy talking holiday plans again, camping maybe. Daisy's like, I don't mind as long as you're there. Fingers down the throat. So Nicky turns up at school later because, and I missed this. Is it just supposed to be a massive coincidence that she's applying to be a TA at Daniel's school unless she's gone full on stalker?
Unless it gets revealed.
We've already got one of those stories.
Unless it gets revealed with like a sort of surreptitious glance at some point, it genuinely does seem to be.
Oh look, it's the person I was looking for the other day. I've just been shown into his classroom by this helpful child. Anyway, I'm going for a career change.
What makes you want to be a TA, Nicky? Oh, I hate having free time and money.
Yeah. So she sees Daniel, they get chatting, agree to meet in the Rovers later. They go there. Obviously, awkwardness ensues when Daisy...
Nicky's that's the girl that told me you live down south now.
Yeah, and actually, I'm actually your girlfriend, says Daisy. So Daisy tries to backtrack a little bit, but Daniel's like, no, don't worry, no harm done. But Daisy is now, caught on the back foot, and Jenny's trying to tell her, don't worry about it. But Daisy is a little bit anxious about this reappearance from Daniel's romantic past. Things get worse when Daniel learns that Nicky left him a message yesterday and kind of glares at Daisy and knows, he kind of assumes that she intercepted it. And when they go home from the pub later, they have a bit of a Barney about Daisy not... Well, Daisy starts having a go at Daniel first and says, who's this Nicky? Why don't you tell me about her? Daniel said, you didn't have any right to do what you did. So they're both as bad as each other, basically. But by the end of the episode, things are okay, aren't they?
He's like, look, we need to trust each other. You shouldn't be jealous, but by the way...
Oh, yeah, by the way, Nicky's going for a TA job at my school.
Good.
Yeah. I didn't even know that secondary schools had TAs. I thought it was more of a primary school thing. Did you have TAs in your secondary school?
It wouldn't be relevant now, would it?
Why? Because we went to school so long ago.
We went to school in 1958 and things have changed.
I want to know,
They stopped rationing.
I really, really want to see Nicky's CV. And when Mr. Griffin says, right, who am I going to employ? Right, there's this one here that used to be a sex worker. Now she wants to be a TA.
No.
I can't see any problem with that. Nobody's going to find that out.
Says here she used to be a special counsellor and she's got really good interpersonal skills.
Special griefs counsellor.
Yeah. And she works well with people, it says here. She's good at one-on-one.
I think it's very, very odd choice of career change for Nicky. Fine if that's the route they're going to take her down there, but I do hope that it kind of comes out as part of her story that somebody realised, like one of the dads at school is like, hang on a minute, I know you. You can't have a story where an ex-prostitute becomes a TA and not have a story where there's a massive scandal when it all comes out, surely. Presumably this TA is going to handily be assigned to Daniel's class as well, so I hope she knows the difference between a subordinating conjunction and a preposition.
Yeah, how about that?
What were you saying?
I've seen more than one story about people being hounded out of their work in schools because of some kind of unsavoury, shall we say, element of their personal life that comes to light.
I'm not saying
which
she
I
shouldn't.
I don't agree with that. I think it's awful. I think people should, I think as long as you can separate it. But you're right. This is ripe.
This is
for
massively ripe
Coronation
for storyline
Street
potential.
Scandal.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, I assume she's going to get the job. She has to do her interview. Was it next week? She has to take a class, which yes, sometimes TAs do. Because you asked me about that.
I've said before about what I think about that.
Well, if you're a higher level teaching assistant, which she clearly won't be because she's not done it before. If you're a higher level teaching assistant, you can. If you're just a bog standard teaching assistant, so as in an
you're
entry
just-
level
yeah.
one, then you probably shouldn't really be taking classes on your own. But I think maybe she just means, I need to lead a group or something like that.
My only thoughts on it are that a TA is being paid very poorly
Yeah.
for the
TAs
responsibility.
massively get taken advantage of.
That's exactly what I think about it. TAs are being asked to take classes when it's a teaching job that you get paid a lot more to do. I think it's unfair and it's taking advantage, and I can see in the future a world where classes are taught by TAs who are getting paid crap, and teachers are employed by, a very small number to do all the paperwork.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise.
It just seems like a really stupid and obvious way
Schools
for
and
the
budgets
government
and
to save
staffing
money.
and everything is so stretched, and luckily we do have, the country has lots of good teaching assistants who are willing to step up to the
they're
plate.
all
but
wonderful.
they
all
really should be
work
compensated
really
for
hard.
it.
Exactly, they work really hard, and they just as many other people in careers that are vocations rather than jobs get taken advantage of and treated like crap.
Yeah.
And paid the minimum.
Yeah.
And teachers already don't get paid enough as much as they deserve. So to change that into, TAs taking the brunt of the labour just seems just abysmal.
That's us on our soapbox. What did you think about Daisy's reaction to Nicky this week? Did you...
Oh dear.
Understandable.
Showering herself in
sympathise?
glory again.
Yeah. I kind of get it. And it is still quite sweet in a way that she is so into Daniel, genuinely into
She's
him, and not
insecure.
just trying to get his house money off him, which does still keep getting mentioned,
Well,
doesn't it?
Once I sell my house, I better take you.
We thought that our house sale took a long time to go through. How long is this?
Well, no,
really
he's
going
got
now?
sitting tenants, he said, and he's waiting for them to
did he? I
leave
missed
so that he can sell the house.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess Daisy's already done the "I've made myself look bad" thing. I don't really know where this story's going to go. I don't care particularly. I've got zero interest in Daniel rekindling things with Nicky. I'd rather he stayed with Daisy, so I guess it's one of these early tests in a relationship sort of stories, and she's going to disappear off to Lytham again.
Yep.
I don't imagine she's going to stay.
I just
think
am
it's just a brief...
baffled that none of the circumstances under which Nicky left originally has been raised by anybody.
No.
Because I think it would be quite awkward. I think Nicky's a bit brazen.
I want Nicky to go up to Daisy and said, "Has he tried to get you to dress up? Has he tried to make you do the voice?
Did he make you wear the cardigan?"
And Daisy's like, "What?
What are you talking about?"
Right, Bailey's story, La Gemma. Over to you,
This
old
is
Bailey.
Barely worth mentioning, but I will do my best.
You could give a 30-second summary of this.
Right, I'll
to
see
be
how
honest.
quickly I can get through this, and I think you'll know why as I describe what happens. Right, the nursery wants pictures of the children's family, so Michael's been going through everything to help her Glory settle down on her first day, and they realise that he's looking for pictures of Grace and
the Bailey family realise.
Yeah, and Aggie and Ed are concerned about the fact that he's putting these pictures in, and he doesn't seem to realise that.
He doesn't.
What's her name?
Grace. Glory?
Grace, yeah, sorry, Grace. Grace has abandoned the baby, so Aggie doesn't think that she has the right to be in the pictures.
Well, also Aggie and Ed have got the secret that that Grace was trying to blackmail them last year.
Yeah,
Michael doesn't
and they're
know
like,
this
should we
yet.
tell Michael the truth? And Aggie says, this is what Ed says, and Aggie says no. And then Ed tells Michael that Aggie found a picture of Grace and took it out of the pile. Michael gets mad. Ed's like, why would you even put it in there in the first place? And Michael says, still her mum, doesn't matter, and she'll come back one day. So he seems to be in denial. And then on Wednesday, Michael's going to throw Grace a first birthday party. So he's looking for Grace on the internet. He can't find her because she's gone off social media. I assume this is some kind of protest against fake news. But...
She's been turning up on my social media quite a lot recently. She's doing lots of jogging around Nottingham.
Yeah. He wants to invite her to this party, but he can't find her. On Friday, Michael gets a phone call. He talks to a designer who wants to collaborate on his website because he does baby grows. He's given up on Grace. Meanwhile, everybody's getting excited about Grace's birthday party. Ed and Ronnie go to the bistro. They want to make a big do. They ask Debbie if they can host it there and have a puppet show.
And
Mary
magic.
invites herself, but then Michael says he doesn't want to have a big thing, just wants a family do. So Ed cancels the puppets.
Another classic from the Bailey family there. I mean, in some ways, it was a bit of respite from the high drama of the Abbey stuff. And I still don't hate the Baileys as much as everybody else does. I think, apart from maybe one of them, they've all got fairly redeeming features. Ed is fine. He's kind of nice, kind of teddy bear sort of man, isn't he? Aggie, I'm liking more and more every day. And they're integrating her into other storylines by being super nurse. I think she's got her head screwed on. Michael, I've always liked.
Is the Swiss Army knife of the Bailey family.
Yeah, totally. Michael, I've always liked. But they still... I still don't particularly like Ronnie.
Well, whatever. Whatever. Who cares? Glory, Grace, birthday party, invited.
Do you think that Grace is going to come back?
Don't know. Not sure. Be nice if she did, but I think again it would be like, why did you go then?
When I spoke to Kate Spence a couple of months ago, she didn't seem to make out that Grace is going to come back.
But if it was a surprise, she wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't think she particularly needs to come back. I quite enjoyed her, but I don't think we're going to get to see her again. The one other bit in the story which was of note, I suppose, is that there was a bit of a thing between Debbie and Ronnie, wasn't there, in the Rovers, not the Rovers, in the Bistro, because they got together like last summer, maybe, didn't they?
But they're still.
But we've never seen them dating particularly. There's been no indication about whether it's going on or not, and apparently it still is. So Debbie and Ronnie shippers. Hope you enjoyed the little bone that you were thrown today. Finally, no, we haven't got finally. Penultimately, we got the Adams story, which just played out on Sunday's episode. He starts off at the police station, telling the cop there all about the evil plotting that Lydia must have been doing to get them in this situation. The cop there finds it very hard to believe that Lydia would be standing outside his flat at 3 o'clock in the morning sending messages. He's basically saying, are you telling me she did this and this and this? And Adam's like, yes.
Literally, I'm telling you that.
Yeah. At work, Sarah's telling Carla about all these texts that she's seen, and she still hasn't decided for herself yet whether she believes Adam or not. Then Lydia turns up and says, I just need to let you know, Adam's been arrested. And Cher's like, what the hell, what for? Carla doesn't believe Lydia's story about him trashing the flat. She's got Lydia's number, hasn't she?
Also, Carla's family now, she's married to Peter, who is Adam's
that's true.
nephew or something
like that. Yeah, anyway, this is where we had the Mr. Hare scene, wasn't it, from earlier, because it was put in to show that somebody's coming in, they don't want anything to do with Adam because of the dodgy reviews that he's been getting on rateyourlawyers.com. So Adam's at number 1 with Daniel later. He gets a message from the Solicitors Regulation Authority. Someone has reported him and he could get struck off, he could get disbarred and everything. So he goes back to his office, tells Imran, who's like, stop telling me bad news. I don't need any more bad news.
I'm a new father.
I'm having a great life. I don't want anything to go wrong in my life. Not in this storyline, not in the other storyline, nothing.
I've just been uninvited to Glory's birthday party. I'm already having a terrible day. There was going to be puppets.
Yeah, Imran says, why did you even go round Lydia's flat if you didn't want anything to do with her? Leave it alone. And I do believe you. Just let the police do their job and make sure that they believe you as well. So Adam's next stop is the pub. Daisy's there lending a bit of a sympathetic ear. Sarah comes in. Adam says, do you want a drink? And she says, no thanks, my darling. Adam ends up in a booth with Sarah, though, who tells him exactly what she believes, i.e. all of it. She's completely fallen for Lydia's story here, don't want anything, and she doesn't want Adam to have anything to do with her anymore, or Harry. I was like, does Adam really care about Harry? Have we seen Adam in a scene with Harry before? I suppose I thought all these other in the background of scenes, maybe they've been next to each other, but oh well. At the end of the episode, Lydia kind of comes up to Adam in the street and gloats very loudly that I'm only just getting started with you, mister, so you'd better watch out. So I had been under the impression that this story was kind of close to reaching its conclusion at this point. Maybe that was just hope.
Wishful thinking, man.
Wishful thinking. maybe there's more, but I don't know. I was very, very glad that this story didn't feature on Monday, Wednesday and Friday's episodes.
Yeah,
but I guess it's going to be back sometime
from
soon.
a past week, wasn't it?
It was a remnant from last week. It may well be back next week because it's still a big story, but it now very much pales when it put up against what's going on with Abby and the baby and everything.
I still kind of find it interesting.
It's semi-interesting, but I didn't miss it when it wasn't on.
I think for some reason feel a connection, and I think it's due to a phobia or anxiety that I have based on nothing, which is, I guess, the point of a phobia, that somehow I'll be accused of something I never did. And you know how, like, when you're young, you're like, quicksand, you've got to worry about the quicksand, and when you grow up, you're like, it's not going to happen to you.
Not unless you don't know, like, Nick would tell you otherwise.
I get really anxious about people being falsely accused of things, and so I find it fascinating and cringy to watch Adam trying to protest his innocence with no way to defend himself against this really carefully orchestrated smear campaign that Lydia has been working on for months behind the scenes. I just think it's really engaging, but unfortunately the characters aren't.
That's the problem.
My favourite. So
Lydia's quite fun. I mean, Sarah on her own is quite fun. Adam, I've never been a mega fan of, but just together.
It's funny how I guess it's more dramatic this way, but whenever there's an innocent person being accused of something on a soap, it's almost always because someone else fit them up.
Yeah.
Whereas there are plenty of true crime stories where people have been found guilty of a crime that they definitely didn't commit. Right.
Drop
Final
Dead
story.
Ted. This was quite cute.
Final story?
Yes, this is the last one.
Right. This is Drop Dead Ted on Sunday. This is the only day that we had it this week. We had a weird, is it quasi-sexual pancake making session with Faye and Craig, but there's no syrup, so they have squirty cream, and then Emma comes in saying, "Oh, sorry, I think I'm interrupting something here." She goes off to meet a friend, and Faye and Craig sort of resolve to make sure that they look after Emma because of how sad and lonely she is. Turns out Emma's actually having a lovely date with John at the Chariot Square Hotel. Who's John, you might ask? He's the grandson of the man that Emma and Faye murdered by accident, along with his ginger nut biscuits. He reveals that he's moving to Australia in a few weeks.
Oh, shucks.
And Emma's like, "Oh, I used to live there. Watch out for the drop bears." She says, "Let's enjoy their time together while they still can. Wouldn't it be romantic?" And he says, "Let's go to the Rovers." She's not very keen on this because she doesn't want to get rumbled. John's confused about why she is being secretive about their relationship. She can't really tell him it's because of his granddad. So she tells him about Curtis and says, "I was nearly married to a man who lied." And he says, "I understand. I think I remember that episode." They carry on having a lovely time. Emma gets home. Craig and Faye put on a cocktail party for her to cheer her up. Guilt, because she's actually had a great time.
I thought that those were lovely scenes with John and Emma. It's very nice after all this misery that Emma is laughing, smiling.
Oops.
Ooh, what are you doing?
I do think that Emma and John are life's innocence. And
yeah, they are.
Let me finish. Together can only come to great harm because they're going to be taken in, they're going to be rooked left, right and centre. I can't see good things happening to two such sweet, naive people. You need to combine the good and the bad. Like, you're the good and I'm the bad, so
thanks.
That's how we protect ourselves.
like Imran and Toyah, though, this relationship just
Too good to be
potentially has
true.
doomed written all over it after what happened. Although he does seem really nice. Maybe he's the sort of person that she could tell the truth and he was like, "Oh yeah, he was old anyway. I love you. Let's not forget about it. Let's forget about it and jet off to Australia and live happily ever after." I don't know. Maybe they could.
It is interesting. How is this story going to end? It's got to end with a confession, hasn't it?
It's got to.
And then what will he say? Is he gonna?
He just seems too nice. I think he'd
I know,
say
but
never mind.
can I just say, if he was
or
actually
I'm really
nice,
offended, and then the next episode
Yeah,
he
that
comes
will
back
happen.
and says, "Oh no, actually."
I'd like to think that a really nice man might have a problem with somebody killing your granddad and lying about
It was
it.
just an accident. She didn't really
Oh,
kill
it's
him.
just an accident.
Right. 2 hours, that street talk. That wasn't like, it could have been longer
I
considering
was trying
we
to
had...
rush because I know we've got a big topic to discuss
We
in
have,
the news.
we have, haven't we? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. So just 2 hours, not so bad, considering there were 4 hours worth of Corrie to discuss.
Also considering that the first hour almost entirely was just Abby.
Yeah,
and
yes, a lot of it was.
Babby.
Abby and the Babby. Right, speaking of 4, that is going to be my score for this week. I am rewarding this week's Coronation Street 4 damp crotches out of 5.
Yes,
very
good
much
idea.
enjoyed it. Not 4.5. There was too much other filler stuff, and also there is the potential, just the horrible doomedness of Toyah and Imran that I'm not really loving. But I'm very happy with this week.
Yeah.
Long may it continue. I hope it does. I'm not getting my hopes up, but yes, I'm enjoying it while I can. What's your score?
I'm definitely agreeing with you on the 4 here. 4 spicy blancmanges from me. I just thought that there were a few dull stories and some weird tone shifts that I didn't like.
Yeah.
But what amazing drama in some parts.
Oh, it was great.
It's got to be Abby for Character of the Week. I mean,
I'm trying to think, could there be anyone else? Could it be Toyah? Could it be... oh gosh, I don't know. Daniel? No. Sam?
Laura?
Roy?
Danny, Kenny, Lenny?
I don't know. It's
Abby
just
for
gotta
me.
be Abby, hasn't it?
You know,
whether you like her or not, and I know that a lot of people don't,
Yes.
she was absolutely the character that everyone was talking about this week. She was the character who this week revolved around, for better or for worse. As a character that I really like, I have got no qualms about giving her Character of the Week.
Giving her a good old thumbs up.
Absolutely.